Welcome to Nimmin Live, the #1 place on the internet to learn about YouTube, network with other content creators, and have an awesome time doing it. My name is Nick, and today I'm answering your YouTube questions. So look, there's a form down in the description of this stream right now. So if you want your question answered, you're an early bird. There's not a lot of questions in there at this moment in time. So you're an early bird. So get in there and go ahead and get your questions down there in the form that is down in the description below so we can get them answered on the stream today. I also want to let you know that this stream is brought to you by Tubebuddy, which is the #1 tool for YouTube content creators. Tubebuddy will help you optimize your videos for discovery. It'll help you test your thumbnails. It'll help you do all types of channel management related things like bulk updates to your descriptions and a whole bunch of other additional things. They've got 90 different tools inside of Tubebuddy. A lot of people think that it's just the keyword explorer, that it's just like the SEO optimizer, but there's 90 different tools inside of Tubebuddy. So if you're not using Tubebuddy yet and you're a YouTube content creator, there's a link down in the description for you to where you can try Tubebuddy out for free. Or you can just go to tubebuddy.com/Nimmin. It'll take you to the same exact place. And you can give it a shot and see what Tubebuddy can do for you. And then of course, if you upgrade, then in that situation, then, of course, they'll hook me up with a little bit of a commission as well on top of everything else, just for sending you over there. So in addition to that, this stream is brought to you, co-sponsored by StreamYard, which is the live streaming platform that I use to live stream this every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So if you are a live streamer, I encourage you to give StreamYard a try because they do all the heavy lifting for you in the cloud. So you don't have to have a very strong computer in order to do your live stream. And if your stream goes down, something like that, since it's hosted in the cloud, then they actually hold the stream open for you. And then you can come back in on your phone or something like that. In addition to that, it's really easy to add graphics to it like you see on the screen right now. You can pull in videos. You can pull in guests by just simply sending them a link. All kinds of really cool features inside of StreamYard as well. But you can try that out at StreamYard.com. Or, of course, there's a link down in the description for that, as well as a bunch of other stuff that is helpful and useful for you as a YouTube content creator. Okay. So hope everybody had an awesome, fantastic, and wonderful week this week. I hope that, you've got some videos published. I hope that, things are going well on your channel. But what we are doing today is I'm answering your questions because, I know that YouTube is, it's a complex thing in terms of, learning how to, make better videos, learning how to get people to respond better to what it is that you're doing in terms of watching your videos, clicking on your videos, things like that. Plus, there's a lot of other things that go along with being a content creator. So because of that, basically what I do here for the next 3 hours or so is I sit here and I answer the questions that you have based on the things that you're dealing with around your YouTube channel and, just uploading videos to YouTube and all the other things that go along with it. So that is what's going on if you are, a first timer here. Now, I do want to just really quick give a shout out to Roger Wakefield. What's up, man? Hope you're doing fantastic. Doug Houston, YT. What's up, my man? I hope you're doing great. Mr. Camera Junkie, what is going on? Chatty Cathy, nice to see you as well. Shark Scrapper, nice to see you. Magic Flying Potato, Brad, I hope that you are doing awesome today. So what I'm going to do is I actually forgot to, I restarted my computer before the stream. And my keyboard's bugging out on me. But basically, I restarted my computer before the stream, and I forgot to open the form up. So I'm going to go and grab that really quick. So in the meantime, if you have a question about what it is that you're doing on YouTube, Reese's Gameplays, what's going on? Hope you're doing great. But in the meantime, if you do have a question while I'm trying to get this form up here about what it is you're doing on YouTube, just go ahead and put a Q in front of it, and I'll just go ahead and pull it out of the chat right now while I am getting this queued up. And it is now queued up and ready to rock and roll. So I'm doing one more thing here, and then it is go time in terms of digging into the live stream today. So the very first question that I'm going to answer here, I'm just seeing if anything's in the chat. We've got Exciting Electronics says, whoop, they just disappeared. Let's see here. So it says they're having a lot of growth to their channel. Thanks to you. What are some tips for continuing that growth? Dig into your analytics, figure out, what it is that's causing that growth in the first place, and keep doing those things. In addition to that, because numbers are reflective of how, people are interacting with what it is that you're doing. So it's important when you are looking at, the numbers in terms of your YouTube analytics that you also try to uncover, what could cause those numbers to happen. So for example, let's say, hey, what's up, Heidi, Costume CEO? Nice to see you in here. So let's say, for example, that you are, that you find like with your thumbnail, you find like, wow, people really clicked on this one a lot. And you see that number, right? And you're like, hey, people are really clicking on this a lot compared to the impressions that I'm getting. Of course you want to break down the obvious things. What are the colors I'm using? What's the imagery that I'm focusing on? What's the topic of the video? Those types of things. What's the title? Or do they complement each other? But in addition to that, you also want to think to yourself like, okay, with this, there's all of those, technical aspects of it, but in terms of the viewer that might, see this on a homepage, like, why do I think that this was, important or useful or intriguing to those people that actually clicked on this? So, when you are digging into your numbers, you want to make sure that you are trying to think of it from that perspective as well, so that you can, better understand your audience and the theories that you come up with. While you're doing that, you can test it with, future content, with future thumbnails that you make, future videos that you make, and things like that. So basically dig in, figure out, why you think that the response was more, or that the response is positive that you are currently getting. Sammy Gaming says, when we appeal for a silver play button after 100K subs. Yeah, you can get, you're saying when we appeal, you mean apply. Yeah, so you get you can apply for your silver play button after you cross 100,000 subscribers. It'll pop up in your dashboard. So in some cases, it'll pop up relatively fast within like a week or two. But in a lot of cases, it'll take, a month, maybe a month and a half before it pops up. But you'll get a little notification bar going up across the very top of your screen inside of your YouTube Creator Studio. And that is basically, you'll have the option to click on that to actually claim your button. And it'll just take you through a process in order to do so. So the first question that I'm going to answer here, in addition to the other one, Viper, Man About Tech, what is going on, my man? I hope that you are doing fantastic. Hey, dude, I need like a sound bite from you so that like when you come in here, I just need like a what's up, people. I need one of those so I can add it to my board over here. So really quick, let's see here. Cazadors 719 says, you're awesome, Nick. How did you do this intro? How did you do this intro this live instead of normal YouTube thumbnail for event? You mean the trailer. So basically the trailer is a new feature. So who here live streams on YouTube? If you're a live streamer, if you live stream, it doesn't matter if you do it once a month, if you do it every day. If you live stream to YouTube, just, let me know, just say me, so that I can identify the streamer crowd in here. But when you are live streaming to YouTube now, there is a feature to where when you set up your live stream, you can go in and then you click on the edit option. Once you click on that edit option, then you are going to see a customization option over on the left-hand side. When you click on that, if you scroll down at the very bottom, you're going to see a option to be able to hand off the video or hand off the stream. And what that means is, like, let's say that this stream goes on for however long it goes on for, then after the stream, if I wanted to publish a video and have that video, ready to rock and roll after this stream, then I could have that published, and then I could have this stream actually just default right over into that video once the stream is complete, just to, go ahead and give it a little bit of extra juice, so to speak. So you have that option. But in addition to that, you also have the trailer option. And when you add a trailer, it's basically just a short video that you can add before your live streams, and you can do anything with it. So, you can use it as something to let people know what it is that you are going to be offering in your stream, or what it is you're going to be talking about, or the game that you're going to be playing, or anything like that. But it's simply a video that you upload to your YouTube channel. You can upload it unlisted, and then you assign it as a trailer. And then when you are scheduling your live stream, people will see it. So that's what's going on. That's what's going on there. Hey, what is going on? Evolve INK. Nice to see you in here. Tiny Orchard Quilts. Nice to see you in here as well. Hope that you are doing fantastic. Curtis says, my fans don't like my lives. That's totally cool. Totally cool. Streaming isn't for everybody. Some people prefer to do video content. Some people prefer just to stream and not do any video content at all. So, we all have our different, our different approaches to things. So, yeah, so it looks like we got a decent amount of live streamers in here. So that's cool. But yeah, so that's how you add the actual trailer itself. Next question that we have here is from Salad Cream Boy. Salad Cream Boy says, perfectionism is slowing down my productivity. I think there's a lot of value, but when should I just post the video without the quality suffering? It's a fantastic question. So I think that as content creators, I think a lot of us run into that scenario in terms of, like we're putting out videos and when we think to ourselves, like they have to be this, right? And we think they always have to be this. And of course, the better, experience that we can create for our viewers, the better everything is. However, if it's to the point of thinking to yourself like, man, like, I haven't uploaded in a month because I'm trying to make this perfect video. In that case, if the type of content that you make supports it, then, just try to think, if I do have these bigger projects that I want to work on, because, that might be where you get to express, the most creativity, which is cool. But if you're like, hey, I've got these bigger projects that I, want to make sure that I do want to make sure that are, relatively perfect, try to figure out if you can work in something that is just a little bit less perfect. Maybe it's just a shorter video, something that still adds tons of value to your audience. However, it's not, the best in terms of, that bigger thing that you do. One example of this just recently, since you watch my content. So I had a video when I crossed the 800,000 subscribers. I made a video and the whole thing was framed around, what I've, it's like a message to YouTubers from somebody that just crossed 800,000. And in that particular video, I was just like, I crossed that milestone, and in my head, I always have these things when I cross these milestones to where I just take a moment of just like gratitude and just kind of think through, just how my experience has been and, all that good stuff. And in that particular case, I was like, why am I thinking about this? Why don't I just make a video and share some of these thoughts with, with the people that are, watching my videos, and, just kind of, do kind of like a brain dump. And the editing, like, the editing wasn't there. I mean, it was just a really quick edit for the sake of just getting it out of my brain and getting it up onto YouTube. And, that particular video actually resonated deeply with a lot more people than my typical highly edited content does. And it was more the message than it was anything. And the reason I'm telling you this is because, what we think might be, the quality and, all of those things, at the end of the day, it could just be the message itself could carry a video that you maybe could have edited a lot better, but just the message itself, might be enough to keep you moving in terms of, the audience responding positively to what it is that you're doing. So just keep that in mind. So what I recommend that you do is if you don't want to, have supplemental content and then you have like your bigger projects, then in that case, try some to where, if your bar's normally here, I mean, and of course, look, you always want to try to do as good as you possibly can. It's just kind of like a golden rule, right? However, when you are, publishing your content, it's important to think about, okay, I got to balance things out here. If I got, my life that I want to do, and I've got my YouTube stuff that I want to do and my other hobbies and all that, then, I have like a certain amount of time that I got to be able to dedicate to this. So because of that, if I put a timeline on myself to where, by this time, then, the video's got to be ready to roll. Then, you have that pressure behind you to kind of make you push out that good video. But in addition to that, you might be fine if normally you're at 100% when it goes out, you might be fine putting out a video that's 90%. One of the things that I learned just over time was, you have this standard, right? We all do, just as content creators. We have this standard of, like it has to be, this way. And it's a personal standard, and that's important. And it's very important. However, there's the standard of the viewers. So the standard of the viewers in a lot of cases is completely different than our standard. So because of that, you might find that, that you can use less graphics, a little bit less B-roll, shave off an hour, of your edit in order to, some of the extra polish that you do in order to, get the videos up, a little bit more rapidly. So just some stuff to think about there. Let's see here. And that I pinned the wrong question. Okay, that's fantastic. To the screen. Viper. Okay, so let's see here. As we keep on going through the list really quick, I'm going to answer this one, then I'm going to hop over to the forum. Is there a mathematical ratio or formula to figure out a good click-through rate to number of impressions? No. So what you want to do is you want to go and just look historically on your channel. So there's a really good chance, if you've been publishing videos for a while, you have content in your channel that outperforms some of the other content on your channel. So because of that, you want to go and you want to try to figure out like what good looks like for the content that you're making, for the way that people are responding to what it is that you're doing. Also keep in mind, click-through rate by itself, just the click-through rate can make a huge difference in your videos because, of course, if more people are clicking it, you have the opportunity for more people to watch it. However, even if your click-through rate is high, it doesn't necessarily guarantee views. Like one of the things that, you always see people talking about on Twitter and things like that is, hey, I got this, big click-through rate based on the amount of impressions that I have, but man, my videos still aren't getting any views. And, there's other factors that come into you getting views. And one of those that's a really important one is, when somebody clicks on your video, what happens then, right? So you got your click-through rate's high, but with all those people that are clicking, what happens after they click? Then they start consuming your content. how do they react to that content that you're putting out? And, in some cases, if it's high, then in that case, that video will end up getting a lot of views. If it's low, you have a lot of drop off, or, the viewers just don't seem satisfied by YouTube's terms, then in that case, that video might not do well overall. Maybe you don't have anybody sharing it. Maybe you don't have anybody, or not anybody, but, maybe you don't have a lot of people liking it compared to some of the other content. Maybe not a lot of people are just interacting with it in general, in terms of YouTube saying like, hey, yeah, this is a good piece of content. We're going to keep showing it to people. So, when it comes to that, and your click-through rate and, being really focused on the numbers, the approach that you want to take with the content that you're publishing, when you do have videos take off and do better than other videos, you want to say, okay, what kind of retention am I getting on this? How many people are sharing this? How many people are commenting on this? How many people are liking it? What's my click-through rate amount compared to the impressions? What's my click-through rate on the specific traffic sources in terms of, am I getting like a really high click-through rate in suggested videos, but I'm getting a really low click-through rate on home pages? Or am I getting a really high click-through rate on my channel page, and that's making my click-through rate look high, but in reality, it's just from my channel page, from the people that are most likely to click on my stuff. Whereas maybe in browse, search, and suggested, your click-through rate or your average view duration from those sources might be very low. So, because of that, you want to dig in deeper instead of just looking at it from the averaged out view that YouTube gives you in your reach tab. You want to make sure that you are, digging in a little bit deeper as well. Let's see here. So, and just as a heads up in terms of, the formula and all that, once you do figure out that baseline on your channel, the thing that helps you with is once you start to identify like, hey, if my videos are like this and my thumbnails about like this in terms of, the numbers, then, over time, you're going to start to identify like, okay, when I publish this video, if I'm not hitting these marks, in addition to YouTube letting you know right out of the gate, how your videos are performing at least out of your last 10, you'll also be able to be like, hey, normally what I get is this video is underperforming. So let me see if, if I do like a last minute thumbnail change, if it helps things, or a last minute title change, or just like a total repackaging, just to see if that, if that helps things. So, a lot of different ways that you want to look at that, but the idea is just figuring out what good looks like on your channel so that you can kind of compare other videos that you put out against that one. Let's see here. So, the very first question here from the form is, this is from Sook. Sook says they do daily content and they do animating. It used to be about Minecraft though. The goal of the channel says, I want to make videos and show people my animations. And the question is, how do I get big with an animating channel? So one, you got to have, good animations in terms of it has to resonate with people in some way, shape, or form. So you'll see animation channels where it's clear that they've put, hours and hours and hours and days, maybe even months into one video that's like, 5 minutes long. There's channels that look like that and they, perform at a high rate. On the other side, there's also animation channels to where the story of the animation is extremely clever, but the actual animation itself in terms of what it looks like is pretty rudimentary, but people still, respond to that at a high rate just because the story's so good. So, because of that, when it comes to growing your animation channel, it really comes down to you zeroing in on, the story that you're telling or the information that you're sharing. And in addition to that, also trying to make sure that when possible, that you do make videos around things that are trending. That's typically helpful in terms of topically. So like, let's say, for example, if there's a big event that's coming up, let's just say holidays, right? Let's say it's a tentpole event in that case. And let's say it's a holiday, then, making animations that are, specific towards the holiday, publishing them a little bit, before the holiday, so that as the holiday ramps up, people can come and enjoy those animations. They can get recommended and so on. Same exact thing happens for anything that's trending. So like, for example, can't remember the channel, but I love using them as a reference just because they nailed it. But there was a channel that I found off of Reddit that was an animation channel. And basically what they did is they leveraged Marvel releases. So with that, they made their animations about all the different Marvel releases as they were coming out. And I think that the channel as a whole might have had 10 videos on it. And when I saw it, it might have had 10 videos, maybe 6, and they had over 200 and something thousand subscribers on their channel. So, there's definitely opportunities that you can tap into that you want to make sure that you're being aware of with your animations as well. George B. Thomas, what's up, man? I hope that you are doing fantastic. Nice to see you here in the stream. All right. So as we keep on running through our list, I do have YouTube clips. If you just look for Nimmin Extra. Ooh, what did I do? Did I hit my head or something, I guess? Yeah, if you look for Nimmin Extra, you'll find the clips channel. I'm actually in the process right now of just working on having somebody, finding the right people to help with that channel, so that I can just, publish to it on a regular basis. I have like stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of content, as I'm sure that you can imagine from doing these live streams over time. So I have, tons of content for it that's already been made. It's just the actual, working it into my workflow. And I'm actually trying to have, work it out to where somebody else is doing that. So I can focus on the things that, like this channel, for example. So here, Ron Trains and Things says, I've been a little hit and miss over the summer. Now getting back to my weekly schedule. Any tips for getting views back up after a break? Absolutely. One, of course, is, publishing on a regular basis. That's always a win. Two, if you do, want to take the approach of going into your analytics and just looking at the videos that are bringing in the most traffic right now, or videos that have historically brought in more traffic, more views, then in that case, if you go into your analytics, you're going to see, if you scroll down, once you actually click into your analytics, you're going to see the videos that have been driving the most views over the last, whatever you select for the date range, 28 days, 90 days. And when you see that, you're going to see the stuff that, in terms of, the things that people have been interested in coming into the channel. So when you're first getting back into your groove, pick some of the stuff that's kind of at the top of that list and just think to yourself, like, okay, these are the people that are coming in right now. They're the most recent on my channel. So the likelihood of them, if I publish something that's topically similar, seeing the content that I'm going to be publishing is going to be much higher, just because, it's topically similar and they've recently been interacting with the channel. So because of that, I'm going to, publish something that is, like a logical next step for those particular people. So that's the approach that that you want to take there. Walter's World, what's up, man? Hope that you're doing fantastic today. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Hope that you're doing great. Okay, so next up on our list here, trying to move through these, like one thing I actually said to myself today before the stream was, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to get through some of these faster today. So like, I'm going to try to just crush those many questions that I possibly can here during the live stream today, and see how many that I can get through here during the stream today. What's up, Ash, man? I hope you're doing awesome. So as we keep on going through this list, this next one's from Marcus Sapala. Marcus says that they it's communication tips channel. The goal of the channel is multiple income streams. And the question says, Nick, I just crossed 2,500 subscribers. High five, fist bump to you. Nice job. Let's see here. I'm uploading one normal video and one short video per week. Since the past few months, my views has stuck about 40,000 views per month. What are some strategies when your growth has plateaued? Kind of similar to what I was talking about with Ron, because like when you're publishing content, like the content that does well, it leaves clues to what it is that you're doing and to what it is that your audience responds to. So because of that, I really recommend that you do something similar. Like look at the content in your channel that's performed in the past and try to think, okay, is there any way that I can make something extremely topically similar in terms of like an update or a version 2 or, something like that. And in addition to that, just thinking to yourself like, okay, these are all the people that are interacting with the channel right now. This is the content that's pulling them in. Like, what would be something that I could publish today that would be relevant to those people that are watching these top 5, top 10 videos on the channel that are bringing in the most traffic, right? So that when you publish, those videos, the likelihood of some of those people seeing them and positively responding to those videos, will be higher in that situation. So, so because of that, that's the type of approach that you want to do. But I mean, if you've kind of, plateaued a little bit, another thing that is important in situations like that is also to experiment. Experimentation is something that, can uncover some really cool stuff in terms of content that people respond to. So because of that, if you have plateaued and if you are making, content that's similar and you're, doing that whole thing, but it's still not working, then in that case, start experimenting, start thinking, okay, with, the audience that I'm trying to reach with these communication tips, like what's another approach that I can take with this, even though I'm reaching people that are looking for, trying to learn how to communicate in a better way. Maybe there's something a little bit more interesting I can do or something a little bit outside of my norm that I could do that they might be able to respond to, and just start, putting out some occasional test content as well. So that you can make sure that that you're giving some new stuff a try, right? Because if you plateau, that kind of means like, okay, then, I've got people responding, but, not, at the rate that I would like them to. And this is kind of all the things that I've been doing have gotten me to here, right? So those got me to here. So what can I come up with now to see if I can get from here to here, right? And then you kind of keep working through that process as you continue to grow. Let's see here. Next up on our list, man, I'm feeling good today too. I was like, yeah. Like when I came in, because I was rushing a little bit, like they closed a street. I just went out for a drive today because I needed to get out of the house. Been in the house all week. So I was like, I'm just going to go out and drive around a little bit, just kind of get out, listen to some music, listen to some audio books and stuff. So I was listening to Sapiens, which is a great audiobook about the history of man. But I was listening to that and then listening to some music and stuff. But on the way home, they just started some construction and it blocked me. And since I like, we're not going out tons and all that stuff just because of outbreaks and stuff here. So because of that, like, in terms of like exploring the area, I haven't done that a ton. So I'm like, oh no, I hope I can find another way back into my place. So I had to, go and find everything. So I was running a little bit late today. But I still feel, I feel solid today. So, sliding into home plate, right on the clock, that might be it. Maybe I should start doing that more often. So let's see here. RP Primetime says that they do reactions for the moment. The goal of the channel is 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Question. I've been thinking about having a gaming channel and a reaction channel. So my first question is, how would you be able to balance a gaming channel and a reaction channel? Two, there's a second question. Is I've been uploading less because of school and football practice, and I've been thinking about uploading on the weekends. Is this a smart move? Okay, think about what you're saying for a second. So the first question is, I want to have two channels. And then your second question is like, I don't have time to manage the one channel that I'm doing right now, right? So what you have to do is you have to just look at the situation that you're in and say, okay, if I'm going to school and I'm doing, all these other things, then of course, uploading on the weekend would be something that you would want to experiment with. But in addition to that, if you are having trouble getting content out right now, just because, mixing, life and school and YouTube, then in that case, maybe right now isn't the best time to start that second channel. Or in that case, you could just sit down and you could be like, okay, which one of these is more important to me? Is it more important to me to do these reaction videos? Is it more important for me to do these gaming videos? Like, which one do I think that I would get the most, fulfillment out of making? Which one do I think that I would be able to do better? Which one do I think, I would be able to make a stronger connection with the people that I'm trying to reach, and then go down that route? That's what I would do in that situation, because if your time's limited, which everybody's is, then in that case, you don't want to just keep stacking stuff on, because then what happens, and trust me, I did this for a really long time in my life, and it took me a while to figure out that when you focus really hard on something, that's something that you're focusing on will usually do okay, right? So what happens is when you start stacking, you're already busy, and you start stacking on all this additional stuff, next thing you know, you're doing bad at everything. So instead of like nailing something, you're just doing, a bad job at doing everything, because you're trying to do all this stuff. You can't really focus on one thing and really, water that flower, so to speak, because you're just so busy, trying to just keep everything moving. So because of that, man, I really just recommend that in your case that you just pick one that, is the most meaningful to you, and you go for that one for now. That's what I would do. Let's see here. So next up on our list, Chantel, what is going on? I hope you're doing great. Digital tools of the trade. I hope that you are doing fantastic today as well. Stack the pads, goaltending. Hope that you are doing great. Okay, so really quick, because I just saw this one here in the chat, and it's a live streaming tech question. So, oops, that's not it. Let me keep going up here. Okay, it says, I'm going to attempt a live stream cooking show. I'm by myself. Is there a way for the branding to pop up while I'm busy cooking? I use StreamYard. Yeah, so with that one, you would need to manually trigger that or have somebody help you. Like, a cool thing with StreamYard is that you can do it virtually. So like, let's say, for example, you have a friend of yours that's like, hey, let me go and, like, you're like, hey, I'm going to be doing this live stream. I need somebody to come in here and drop some graphics on my screen from time to time, or, do some type of interaction. You can give them access to where they can actually come in, and they can, come in and do those sorts of things for you. So you might want to try that approach. But outside of that, at this moment in time, they do not have a timer for the graphics popping up on the screen. So that's something you're going to have to do manually. Now, there are things that you could do in terms of, like basically building your stream. We've seen it gets really complicated here, but I'm just going to tell you because you asked. But basically you build, multiple scenes inside of like OBS or something like that. You use virtual cam inside of OBS to push it into StreamYard. And then basically inside of OBS, you have timers set up in there, or Stream Deck, which is, like one of these things. But you have, the timer set up in there so that, at a certain time, then it would switch to another scene that would have your branding on it. And then it would switch back to, something else. So one thing that you can consider as well is, in here, because you can add all these graphics, you can add all this stuff. Instead of the branding, you could do something like this. to where you do something. Let's see here. Let me just click on one. Yeah, like when I click on this, you can see how there's the thing going across the bottom of the screen, right? So one thing that you could do is you could do that to where you turn that on, and then you have that, you know, that ticker going across the bottom of the screen. In addition to that, another option for you is to make a non-intrusive overlay. So a non-intrusive overlay for your branding would look something like this. So you can see here, I've got this frame that kind of goes around the screen here. But down here in the bottom left-hand side, let me switch over to here for the example. But down here in the bottom left-hand side, you can see that I have, you know, a little branding, letting people know what's going on, you know, when the stream is, that kind of stuff. And here's another version that I have, you know, for something else. But this one's just a little bit less intrusive. So you could build something like this and then have that in there so that you can make sure that, you know, any graphics that you need to show for branding purposes are there during the stream. And then, of course, you also have, got to switch arms. You also have this up here as well, to where, you know, you can just put that over or that overlay watermark in there, and then you would have your branding on there the entire time that you're doing your cooking show. Good luck with your stream. Like if this is your first stream, streaming can be tons of fun. So good luck with your first stream. Let's see here. So next up on our list today, we have let's see here, Retro Dad 64. So Hoaxip C, little side education here. So Hoaxip C is how you say 64 in Thai language. Hoaxip C. Hoax is 6, sip is 10. Hoaxip C. C is 4. Okay, so let's see here. So they have a gaming channel. The goal of the channel is to provide help content and entertain fellow gamers, and eventually making this a full-time gig. Question says, morning, Nick. Good morning. Hope that you're doing fantastic. Says, hope you're well. Is it better to wait to live stream until you have more of a following, or should you start early to get the community based around it? It seems streaming here is more for current followers, unlike in other platforms. I'm sorry if you answered this last week. I had to work. Okay, so when it comes to live streaming on YouTube, there's two different approaches that you can take. One of the approaches that you can take is you can say, okay, I'm doing this live stream for the sake of connecting with my current community. And then with that, you know, you do things like, you know, Q&As and Hangouts and, you know, things kind of like I'm doing right now. And then you can have another stream, which is I'm going to do this for the sake of, you know, making a piece of content that will live forever on my YouTube channel and still add value to the people that I'm trying to reach, and that will also help me grow a new audience. If you do a live stream that way, then what you want to do is you just want to apply structure to it. So, you know, you can see throughout this stream how it's just kind of all over the place, because everything that happens here is based on the questions that I get and all of that. So we go all over the place. However, if in your case, since you're doing gaming content, if, you know, your streams are normally, you know, like an hour long, then think to yourself, like, what could I share with people, or what could I show people, or how could I help people out in a live stream that would be like 10 minutes or 15 minutes long? Is there a way to do that? If the answer is yes, then in that case, you know, making a shorter live stream and thinking of the structure in terms of, I'm making a live video that's going to live indefinitely on my YouTube channel. Not I'm doing a live stream and hanging out. I'm making a live video. So when you take that approach, as soon as your video, or as soon as your live stream starts, you know, you say your hook, you introduce, you know, whatever it is that you're going to be taking people through, or whatever it is that would make them want to continue watching that video on the replay. And then you actually take them through the things that, you know, that you promised them in the beginning of the video, and then you end it just like you would a video as well, you know, inviting people to subscribe, or, you know, recommending another piece of content or something like that, so that you create that great piece of replay content, right? So the difference between the two, the one is like, hey, we're doing a hangout. This is great, you know, while we're streaming. Probably not the best, you know, for the replay. But then you have the other approach, which is a little bit more strategic, to where you're like, you know what, this stream, this is actually going to be a piece of content on my channel, and I'm doing this one with tons of purpose for the sake of making sure that that somebody comes into this after the live stream is over. It's still a great experience for those people. That's the approach that you want to take. Baking with Charlene, welcome to the stream today. Hope that you are doing awesome. Dale Compton, hope that you are doing great as well. Thanks for joining us. Hey, better late than never. That's what they say, right? Zane, what's up, man? Hope that you are doing fantastic today. I'll be tastic. Hope that you are doing great. Okay, so next up on our list here, we have, I need a drum roll. Okay, we got Shark Scrapper. Shark Scrapper says that they do edutainment about recycling and scrapping. The goal of the channel is to help people better understand recycling and scrapping while making some moolah, some money. And the goal, or the question I should say, is as soon as I was able, I claimed Shark Scrapper as my custom URL. but I noticed that wherever I click on my channel, I see the long code. Why am I not seeing Shark Scrapper? So if you come in from like YouTube search, something like that, like on platform, you will typically, not always, but you'll typically see that that string of code up at the top. The custom URL is more for, social sharing, things like that, where you're actually driving people into YouTube to make it easier for them, right? Like that's where that is. Same exact thing goes like, like let's say that you're doing the thing where you add the custom code to the end of your subscribe link or your actual, channel link, that turns it into the subscribe button, and you put that in your descriptions, that kind of stuff. Then, having that shorter version, makes it just a little bit more trustworthy, but it also makes it shorter. So when you are, sharing that around, or you're putting it in your description or your channel art, whatever, it's just, more manageable, and it's just an easier thing to do. Let's see here. Next up on our list, we have Go Time AFL. And if you're just joining us, what we are doing today is I'm answering YouTube questions. So, I'm a content creator. I've been doing this for a long time myself. Plus, I've worked with a lot of other content creators as well. And basically what I do here during these live streams is I share, just information from my experience of, what I know about YouTube. And then I apply that information to, help you so that you can get a better understanding of, how to grow your YouTube channel, or how to connect deeper with your audience, or, whatever it is that you're trying to do with your content. So right now, again, if you're just joining us, what I'm doing is there's a link down in the description that goes to a form, to where you can, put your question in, and then I'm answering them here on the stream. Later in the stream, I'll be pulling them directly out of the chat as well. So you can definitely stick around for that if you don't want to mess with filling out the form, but this is all free. So, so if you, do have a question, feel free to put it in the form down in the description right now. And if you are like, I'm on a mobile device, the form's kind of a pain, then in that case, just hang out, and we'll be pulling them from the chat here a little bit later as well. So let's see here. So next question here is from Go Time AFL. Go Time AFL says that they have an Australian rules channel. The goal of the channel is to have a community that enjoys watching footy as much as I do. And the question is, I run AFL channel, Aussie rules. I'm wanting to get more international viewers. So I'm wondering if I should make a video to explain the game, and also how do I get international viewers' attention that way. So if you're covering Australian football, then in that case, you are, most likely going to be reaching a strong majority of Australians. And because of that, those are going to be the people that, when you're titling your videos and it's all around, Australian rules, those people are going to be the ones that are, most likely going to respond to that content at the highest rate, which then in turn is going to cause YouTube to just show that content to more people in that area, right? Because they're going to be like, the likelihood of them responding is going to be much higher. Now, of course, there's going to be Australians that are, that live elsewhere in the world, things like that. And, you'll be able to, tap into some of those people as well if they normally watch that type of content. But at the end of the day, what you ultimately want to think about is, I don't necessarily want to, try to reach like everybody with this content and kind of cram it down their throat, so to speak, if it's not something that they're interested in. I just want to make sure that I'm serving the people that are interested in this content already, that I'm really, taking care of those people and giving them exactly what it is that they want. And then as you do that, you get better at that, then at scale, YouTube is going to find other people that are also into that type of thing, and they're going to show your content to them. So, because of that, I recommend that you just focus really hard on serving the people that are responding to what it is that you're doing, so that you can just make sure that you nail that audience. And then, on YouTube side, they're going to show that content to people that are likely to be interested in it. It's just that you have to continue making that content and continue, getting a good response from what it is that you're doing. Nate the Lawyer.
Super chat.
I made 100,000 subscribers within a year. What now? High five, fist bump to you. Nice work. What now? That's the big question, right? That we'll talk about this here in a second, but do the tips that got me to 100,000 still work? Are there any things that I should be doing? Editor, manager. So when it comes to, hiring people, that is kind of like a personal choice in terms of like, hey, do I need the help within the budget of what it is that I'm, generating from this? Can I afford the help? Just based on, just this, not, hey, I'm taking money from, elsewhere and applying it, and applying it to this, but like, hey, am I able to fund all of that through what it is that I'm doing here on YouTube. And then, also just being very intentional. Like, okay, if I do get an editor, like what's the idea? Like, what am I trying to do? Why am I getting the editor? Is it because, I just want to free up some time? Is it because I want to put out more content? So where they're editing, I'm editing, and we're just cranking out content like crazy. So thinking of it from that perspective, when you're hiring people is, one approach. But one thing that you could do and you could have been doing this for a long time, is, you could get a little bit more aggressive with going after sponsors, things like that, if you are trying to monetize what it is that you're doing more. But in terms of, the tips that got you to 100,000, they still work. Absolutely. So, when it comes to YouTube, there's a really core best practices, right? In terms of, all the stuff that we talk about here every Saturday. So when it comes to, a channel growing from, 100 to 200,000, the information that gets you to 100,000, you keep applying that. And then of course, that's the things that help you, keep going. Now, of course, there also might be things that are happening on your channel that you can tap into to accelerate things in terms of the view counts that you're getting, stuff like that. So for example, like, if you are already getting, decent traction on your videos and what it is that you're doing, then, you might want to just take a really hard look in terms of, how am I interlinking content together? Because, if you have enough traffic coming through to get you a play button, then in that case, you have enough people interacting with your content to where you can really start being strategic in terms of the next steps that those people can take. So let's say, for example, if you get, a certain amount of views on a video, then, if you're being extremely intentional, like, okay, let me link my end screen, let me link a pinned comment, maybe like a card to, another playlist, then what you're doing right there with that traffic, after enough people go through that, then you start creating the connections that are important to YouTube, which is when people watch this video, they will typically watch this video next. And as long as they are having a good experience with that flow that you're taking them through, then that can cause some of those videos that you're recommending to end up being in the next up spot. So then you start, increasing the view counts that you're getting and things like that. So, you want to start digging into those sorts of things. One quick tip here that Roberto Blake said, what's up, Roberto? Hope you're doing awesome, man. Says, at 100,000 subscribers, you need a business plan and to hire an accountant and bookkeeper and focus on tax liability, time management, income generation, and boundaries. Yeah, so all of that is also important. But you're a lawyer, so I'm going to guess that, that on the business side, you've probably got that and taken care of already. But if not, then of course, you want to make sure that you are, making sure that, you are kind of separating things in terms of your personal and your business so that you can, make sure that, in terms of tax liability, things like that, you're taking the right approach. But when it comes to, like on YouTube, I would definitely be trying to leverage your community feed a lot. I would leverage your stories a lot. I would definitely make sure that that you are also just being really intentional about where it is that you're sending traffic around your channel in terms of the specific videos that you're sending people to when they're watching one video, so that you can start making sure that you are, kind of amplifying the views that you're getting out of the current audience that you have, so that as you start, creating those connections and you also are feeding some of the older content and things like that, that can also help some of that older content kind of come back to life and those sorts of things too. If you do have content that's kind of, I don't want to say stagnated, but if it's just not getting the activity that it used to on your channel, by sending some traffic to it, that can also in some cases kind of kickstart some of that older content as well, to where it'll get promoted more if people are interacting with it a lot and they're having a good experience from it. So, so I would look into those sorts of things. Let's see here as we keep going in here. I'm just going to pin this on screen while I'm looking at this next question here. Just so, because I said it, but just to make sure that, that you can read that as well in terms of Roberto's suggestion here. So let's see here. So as we keep on going through the list, we have Whiskey Lovers Society. And the type of channel is Whiskey Reviews. The goal of the channel is sharing information on whiskey. And the question, how do you encourage people to subscribe? If you do have a lot of views, and the analytics show that most viewers are not subscribers. I have 94 subscribers now. So just as a heads up, most of the people that are going to interact with your content, if you're doing the right things, are gonna not be subscribed to your YouTube channel. So, of course you want to kind of balance it out. But, one thing to think about is when people subscribe to your YouTube channel, they subscribe. And then with that, some of those people are going to come back and, watch, some of the content you put out. Some people will come in from time to time. Some of those people might not ever even look at your content again. So, when it comes to, having the, majority of your viewership coming from people that are non-subscribers, that's actually a pretty normal thing here on YouTube. So of course, the deeper that you connections and stuff you make with your audience, and depending on the type of content that you make, that kind of stuff, you can have just tons and tons of subscribers coming back as well, which is, you want that, but then you also want to have a high percentage of people that are not subscribed interacting with your content, because that's how your channel grows, right? So if you were only serving the people, like out of the 94 subscribers that you have, If you were only serving them, then you're capped off at 94 views in terms of the maximum, right? So of course, all your subscribers aren't going to interact with your content either. But basically, when you are, looking at it from that perspective, if you're just making content and it's only for subscribers, then in that case, you're putting some pretty hard limits on yourself. So actually embrace the fact that you are having a lot more non-viewers come, because that's what actually causes the channels to grow. Let's see here as we keep on going through the list. The reason that you're losing subscribers is because people unsubscribe from YouTube channels for tons of different reasons. People can unsubscribe from YouTube channels because, they subscribe for one thing and then you made another video and they're like, oh yeah, this isn't really what I, thought it was going to be. And they unsubscribe from that. It could be that, they subscribed and they're interested in that game. And then, a little bit later, they're like, you know what, I don't actually play that game anymore. So, this video keeps popping up in my feed. So let me just unsubscribe so YouTube doesn't show it to me anymore. Those types of things cause people to unsubscribe. In addition to that, YouTube also deletes channels from time to time based on, the activities that they're doing on YouTube. So for example, if somebody's spamming or doing sub for sub or something like that, then in that case, that can cause, those channels to get deleted. And when that happens, then, then of course you would take that hit as well on your subscriber numbers. So next question that we have here on our list, we got Whiskey Society. Okay, we got that taken care of. So next up here, we have Hello Racino. I'm saying that correctly. If not, I apologize. They do gaming streams and content. The goal of the channel is I want to prove to my family that I can make money from my YouTube channel. The question is, I've been getting like 3 to 4 subs daily until I recently reached 200 subscribers, but now I seem to stop making subscriber or really low. Somehow, even losing some of them. How do I stop this from happening? Like I just said, subscribers, they come and go. Like I've lost over 250,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel the entire time that I've been doing this. So if I hadn't, I'd be over 1 million subscribers right now. But, because of the nature of YouTube and because people do unsubscribe to channels, you are going to end up losing a lot of people over time that are currently interacting with your content and that will interact with your content in the future. Just the transient nature of, our interests changing. Like, if you look at yourself and you think to yourself, okay, when I watch YouTube, I have all these different channels that I've subscribed to and that I followed. And I had this period of time where I was like watching all the stuff they uploaded. But, I'm sure there's channels that you can remember off the top of your head that you used to watch a lot or you would watch, on a regular basis, but you probably haven't watched them in months. Right. Same exact thing with channels that maybe you might have unsubscribed to as well. So, the same exact thing applies to other people. So really quick, Frank Katzer gave a super chat. Thank you for that. Frank says, always learning from you. Thanks for being here with the continuity. Thank you, Frank, for hanging out. Thank you for the kind words and the super chat and for, being willing to learn and, seeking the information and all of that good stuff. So let's see here as we keep on going through the list. Live Signals Crypto says that they do trading signals on many cryptocurrencies. The goal is to reach monetization. The question, hey, Nick, you're fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Always flattered. Stuff always makes you feel awesome. So thanks. Question, we stream 24/7. We basically never stop the streaming. Sometimes we stream for a month nonstop because that's what the service is about. 24/7 signals. How to make YouTube count our each time. I'm not, maybe you're saying how to make YouTube count your watch time. I'm not sure. It says on my end, I'm seeing how to make YouTube count our each time. It's got to be watch time. Seems like nothing is actually counted. Please help what to do. Okay. So when you are doing your 24/7 streams, that watch time is being counted. The problem is that it's being counted like right now. So when you end that stream, then you're going to see all that watch time there as long as that is still public. So the problem happens when, you have a really long live stream, then YouTube isn't going to process it, right? So that 24/7 live stream, like you can have the traffic come in, you can have the views coming in, all that good stuff. But unfortunately, if YouTube doesn't process the video and you can't make it public, then in that case, you're kind of going to be at a loss there. So, what I recommend that you do, and a lot of people do this that have the 24/7 live streams, is have your 24/7 live stream, but also put out some shorter streams as well. So, so keep that one going. And then also have, like, hey, it's Monday. We're going to do our, Monday, 10-hour stream or 5-hour stream or 3-hour stream, whatever it is. Tuesday, we're going to do our Tuesday stream, Wednesday stream, and so on. So that you can make sure that you have enough content going out that is, that is still going to be counted, I guess is what we're looking for. That's still going to be counted when the stream is, when it's complete. Let's see here. So next up on the list, we got triathlon tips with Coach John.
Super chat.
Just past 500 subs and over and over 40,000 views. High five, fist bump to you. Says, bought mic and cam for live. What's your best idea to promote a live stream? Schedule it in advance. Schedule in advance, add a trailer to it. So YouTube has the trailers right now that they give you the option to connect to your live stream. So basically what happens is you want to make sure that first, when you are scheduling your live stream, that you schedule it around, you know, just like you do with your video content, that you make it, it's not just like, you know, triathlon Q&A, like make it about something first. And then, of course, you want to put that Q&A thing at the end. You know, you can do that, but make it about something and think of it just like you would a piece of video content in terms of what it is that you're going to be talking about, what it is that you're going to be going over, but also have that Q&A on there to where you can also do the Q&A part. But even if, let's say you're like, hey, I just want to do a hangout, I just want to do like a Q&A, then in that case, you still want to title the video around something based on triathlons. You want to use a thumbnail that's something based around imagery that, you know, that your audience will respond to based on the stuff that they've responded to in the past. But you want to add a trailer. Trailer's a new feature. And the reason that you want to do it specifically for what it is that you're doing is because it gives you an opportunity to where you can just, you know, tell them like, hey, you know, this stream's coming up. This is what we're going to be talking about. You know, I've been, you know, a triathlete for, you know, X amount of time. I've been coaching people for X amount of time. So, you know, so you get to hype it up a little bit. Just think of your trailer as like an ad, right? You get to hype it up a little bit for the people that are going to see it when it's scheduled. So, you know, schedule it. Like, let's say if you're going to do your stream on Friday, then Brad, so good. Snurching for scubs. Oh man. Okay. But what you want to do is just think, you know, to yourself, like, hey, I want to put together just a good trailer, in terms of it being like an ad. But if you're gonna stream on Friday, you know, go ahead and you know, schedule that, ahead of time on like Wednesday or maybe even Tuesday or Monday, depending on when your upload schedule is, for the sake of making sure that you give it enough time to get in front of, you know, enough people that might be interested in, you know, triathlons. Oh, so good. Good stuff there. Okay. So what he's talking about there, by the way, is we had on our members only live stream, over on Facebook the other day, on Thursday. And for whatever, I just, you know, I don't know if it's coffee related or just, you know, just a little skip in thought, but basically, I mentioned, snurching instead of searching. And, so that's where that came from. So that's why, that struck me funny. Snurch snippets. Exactly. Oh, good times. Okay. So, next up on the list, we've got Mangome 14. Mangome 14 says, it's a personality channel. The goal is to express myself and gaining a following. Question: I took a break and my channel is doing really well, but now the views are low, and how to get my views back up? Start publishing content again on a regular basis. Make sure that you're publishing content that people typically respond to in your channel. So for example, if I were to take a break for like 2 months, I would probably have a month's worth of how to get views, how to get subscriber content. Like that would be like a full month, because that's the stuff that typically gets the most activity at the time of publish, not long-term, but at the time of publish. So just to, you know, go ahead and get that engine kick back on. That's what I would do. So what you want to do is you want to, you know, find the content on your channel that you can pretty much count on for a response, and then make stuff that's topically similar, you know, so that you can make sure that you are, you know, making the right choices in terms of the topics that you're making the content about, that will, you know, bring those people back. Let's see here. Next up on our list, and I'm going to pull one of these from the chat right here in just a second, as well. So if you get your question ready, don't post it yet, but when you do post it, man, did I just move this thing again? But when you do post it, make sure you put a Q in front so that I know that it's intended for me, and that it's not a like a side conversation that you're having there. So the channel name is Raising Children, and the type of channel is parenting. The goal of the channel is to motivate for better parenting. And the question, how can I increase subs and views? How to set channel tags perfect. Okay. So I just published a video about YouTube myths. And it's basically, I believe it's 7 myths that are just running rampant on the internet about YouTube and getting views on YouTube and, you know, all the stuff, you know, around YouTube. Go watch that video. One of the things that I highlight in there is tags. So tags, according to YouTube, they are not as important. So they're saying that it's not as important. So go ahead and still use them, while that box is still there. But use a tool like Tubebuddy so that you can go in and you can, just select the tags, because Tubebuddy's going to check, relevance in terms of, this is what your title is. This is the stuff you have in your description, what tags better, best represent it. And then they're going to give you some suggestions. Pick the ones that are the most relevant to your content and move on. Right. You don't have to spend tons and tons of times, on tags. Well, the way that we used to do it is we would spend, research time on every tag that we were using in our videos, because, we wanted to make sure that everything was, that the reach was as high as, we could possibly get it. But nowadays, especially with tools like Tubebuddy, like you don't even have to worry about it, in terms of that sort of thing. So don't worry about that. In terms of, increasing subs and views, that's going to come down to your content. So what I mean by that is, you gotta make content that people respond to in a positive way. And the better you get at that, the more you're going to get views, the more subscribers that you're going to have, because, you're going to be able to get your, content to resonate with people. Right. So, one of the things that I recommend, if you're a new content creator, which I believe most of you are probably, just getting started. So if you're a new content creator, then, one of the things that you want to make sure that you are thinking about is like, man, I got to learn how to edit videos. I got to learn how to make thumbnails. I got to learn how to work with imagery. Right. So for example, in our members group, we had somebody make a post in there, and they basically posted a few thumbnails based around their niche. And they're like, what do you think of these? And the thing is in that particular situation, they were putting out thumbnails that, sure, it might have showed like the outfits that they were talking about or something like that. However, if you compare their thumbnails to the thumbnails that, that are showing up when you actually look for the type of content that they make, they're way over here versus, being over here, so to speak. Like the thumbnails that were normally there, they're just like warm, they're more scenes, not, they're not like cutouts and things like that. Like the stuff that's getting clicked on the most. It's scenes, very few words, if any. There's a big, focus on the actual, clothes that they're wearing, things like that, to where hers was just more about like, hey, here's this, like empty canvas, and I'm just going to put a couple shots of myself on here, cut out, and just put some words on here. Right. So, it's really important to make sure that when you are trying to get people to click on your content, it's really important to make sure that you're thinking like, okay, from my niche, what are other people doing in my niche? And like, how am I, visually, like, how am I comparing to them in terms of, helping people identify that the type of content that I'm making, if they're interested in this type of content that I'm making, from my niche, how can I express that through the imagery that I'm using, through the style of the thumbnails that I'm using, that kind of stuff. So let's see here. Jay-Z helps. Hey, what's up, man? Hope you're doing great. Says pumped to attend your Facebook Zoom meeting. Been too long. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it as well, man. And with that, another thing as well is in another group, someone else they posted another thumbnail, and in that particular situation, this same exact thing applied in terms of like the thumbnail, it was bright. Right. So it was definitely, attention grabbing, but all the other things were relatively, just not nailing it in terms of who it was that they're trying to reach. My suggestion to that person was that, and all of you can use this. This is a great tip for everybody here. And just by show of hands, or, you can just say me, who here, when it comes to visually representing the type of content that you make through your thumbnails, who here has trouble with that? Just say me. But basically, when you are putting your thumbnails together, if you're somebody that's like, man, I don't even know how to represent what it is I'm talking about, visually, then in that case, if you go to Google Images, and do not take images from Google Images because, you're going to run into problems there. But when you go to Google Images, go to Google Images and start typing in the type of content that you make, and then see how other people are representing that idea. So, for example, let's say that, it's a, that you're trying to do something that's a little bit abstract, like since Jay-Z helps, is in here, he's a Florida injury law firm. Let's just say that it was a personal injury topic. Then in that case, what you would want to do is you'd want to go and you'd want to put like personal injury, and then you'd want to see, how, visually people are representing that. So you can use Google Images for that. You can also use, if you go to Adobe Stock, You can also do it there, any stock website. And the way that that's effective on those sites is you have the way that people typically, you know, demonstrate it when it comes to blogs and, you know, things like that are web-based. And you'll see some YouTube thumbnails in there too. But in addition to that, when you go into like the stock websites, then you have some really creative people that have come up with some really cool and unique ways to represent, you know, those same ideas. So, you know, because of that, you want to use those types of things for inspiration so that you can start to say like, okay, how are people, you know, kind of illustrating this idea of this video that I'm putting together. And you want to lean really hard into that. So let's see here. As we keep on going through the list, I'm going to pull this one. Actually, go ahead and drop your question here. So I'm going to pull one out of the chat, and then we're going to go back into the forum. And then I'll do a couple out of the forum. Then we'll come back into the chat. We'll do kind of like a hybrid for right now. So really quick, while those questions are coming in, we have Simply Small Engine Repair. Thank you for the super chat. Says, when you move to a different country, do you still make the money from the country that you started your YouTube on? Yes. So basically, you make your money gets paid out to wherever your bank is. So so for example, if you have, like, I'm in Asia, but my, you know, bank is well, one of my banks is in the US. So because of that, you know, YouTube's able to pay out directly to my US account there. So, so, you know, it's basically where it is that you are, you know, where your banking is, like, that's where you need to do it, because that's where you're going to get your checks at, or your deposits, I should say, not checks. Let's see here as we keep on going. Yeah, you know, any of these places, like, you know, the idea is to, you know, whichever place it is, like, I recommend that you actually just do a lot of research. Like, I would use Google Images, I would use Pixabay, I would use Adobe Stock, I would use any of those stock sites, and you don't have to buy anything. But the idea is to actually just use those as inspiration. Like, hey, this is how people are visually representing this idea. And then from there, then you can say, okay, do I need to source a stock image that I can use in my stuff, or can I take a photo, or do I have, you know, imagery like that available already? Or is there a way that I can, you know, illustrate it, or, you know, anything like that? Let's see here. As we keep on going, how do I put text on my thumbnails? I'm using PowerDirector 365. So there's actually thumbnail apps. So, so if you are, you know, trying to figure out how to do thumbnails, there's actually thumbnail apps. So, you can just do it easy inside of like Snapseed. For example, if you're using PowerDirector on your phone, then you can do it all inside of like Snapseed or Canva. And you know, like Placeit.net, they have thumbnails in there too, and they're responsive. It's a little bit more difficult on a phone though, so you might want to use an app in that situation if you are doing everything on your phone. Let's see here. So next up on our list, Jay-Z helps. Yeah, my pleasure on that one. Yeah, I figured you'd get a kick out of that as I was kind of going through that there. Let's see here. If someone removes your videos from their watch history, does it have a negative effect on the view count? No, because that's all they're doing is hiding their history in that case. It doesn't have any impact on you. Let's see here. Wouldn't have thought of that. Okay. Hey, Nick, I'm struggling to pick a name for my channel. What is the best advice you can give me, please? I don't want to waste my time. Just need to start my journey on YouTube. Okay. First is you want to make sure that the name is available. So I have a friend of mine. He's starting a YouTube channel right now. He's never done any of this stuff before. And he actually worked for a pharmaceutical company. Now he's, you know, taking on YouTube, and he's never, you know, made thumbnails, never done any of that type of stuff. So I'm actually taking him through, you know, all of this stuff as well. But like when it comes to the name, which is also something that he's doing, you know, I'll give you the same tips that I gave him that I've also made videos about on the channel, because I have a few videos about this too. For everybody here, just as a heads up, like if you're like, hey, you know, I'm trying to, you know, understand this thing. If you just type that thing, like, you know, naming a YouTube channel and then my name afterwards, then you're going to see, you know, the videos that I've made on that topic if you do that in YouTube search. But when it comes to your name, here's what you want to think about. One, most importantly, is it available everywhere? And the reason that you want to think about that is because right now, when you're first getting started, you might be thinking that you're just going to do the YouTube channel. However, everything changes over time, and your interests change over time, and you know the things that you're able to do changes over time. So because of that, make sure that the name that you do choose, after you follow some of the other tips I'm going to give you, you make sure that the name that you do choose is available on all of the social media platforms. Also make sure that it is also available as the .com or some type of web address. And the reason that you want to do that is because you are creating an internet brand. Like if you're going to come on here and you're going to do it seriously, you're creating an internet brand. If you're coming on, like if you're just like, hey, I just just want to upload some videos, not going to take it too serious, then in that case, it's not as important. But if you're like, hey, I want to do this seriously, pick a good name that's easy to remember. Make sure that it's available everywhere. Do not use any numbers in it. Say the name out loud. When you're like, yeah, I think this is a good name, say it out loud and think to yourself, is there any other way that this can be taken? Is there anything that I'm going to have to explain? So for example, if your channel name was, Fit for Fun, then in that case, if you use the number 4, then every single time that you tell somebody what your channel name is, you're going to have to add, it's for Fit for Fun, not FOR fun, and not FOUR fun, right? So, you want to make sure that you're avoiding those types of things. Try to make it as short as you possibly can, because, the shorter it is, then the easier it's also going to be for people to remember. Make sure that when you do say it out loud, Professor Ness, what's up, man? Hope you're doing great. When you are picking your name, you want to make sure, like I said before, that it's shorter. Make sure it's easy to remember. Make sure that you say it out loud, so there's not things that you're going to have to, explain all the time. And this is important when you're, first getting started. Not that big of a deal. When people are watching your videos, not that big of a deal, because they can actually see what your name is on your channel. The problem comes is when, like, let's say that, you start getting invited on the podcast and you start doing a lot of collaborations, things like that. Then in that case, that's where you're going to have to start, all the explanations. So you want to make sure that you avoid those types of things. In addition to that, it's also advantageous. Like if you pull up YouTube on a desktop computer, you see that over on the left-hand side, you're going to see your subscription feed there. You're also going to notice that it's alphabetical. So since it's alphabetical, another thing that you can use or leverage to just, add a little bit of, benefit to yourself is starting it with the letter A, because then you're actually, you're relatively high on that list when you publish a new video. So, thinking of things from that perspective as well, can also be advantageous. So keep those things in mind. But in addition to that, a few tools that I want to tell you. So one is, and both of these are free to use. One is called Instant Domain Search. With Instant Domain Search, as you're typing the name out, it's going to give you, recommendations on, like, hey, these are the names available. It's also going to give you some additional options in terms of other, ways that people might say that same thing. And then you're going to see an option to buy other domains as well. So don't even worry about that right now. But another tool is called Namecheck, Namecheck.com. On Namecheck, that allows you to essentially scour all the social media websites with one try. So you put in the name that you're like, hey, the domain name's available. If I type in youtube.com/the name, that's available. So if I want to do a blanket check of the other social media sites, then I'm going to put the name in there, and then it's going to kick back all of the, places where it's available and where it's not. So you can make sure that the places that are important to you and that you think that you're going to possibly, maybe one day upload to in the future, then in that case, you want to make sure that you secure those names now. So that, as your channel gets going, other people don't go in there and start poaching on your name and stuff like that. So long answer to that question. But naming, how you name your channel is important. So I'm glad that you asked that question. But again, for those resources, I think I mentioned those in pretty much every video I've made about naming your YouTube channel, just because they make the whole process easy. Okay, so this one is going to come out of the form, but really fast before I do this. Simply Small Engine Repair says, do you think do I think money and fame messes with people? I see more and more famous people messing up. Any tips on how to handle the mental health? This is a great question. So let me scroll down here, and I want to pin this one. So because this is it's mental health related. So this is like a really serious question. So when it comes to money and fame messing with people, it absolutely does. And some people can handle it better than other people. And the thing that can happen is, like as you start getting more and more known, you have more and more attention on you. And that's where you see people messing up. As human beings, we all mess up all the time. It's just luckily in a lot of cases, the masses don't know about it. Right. So because of that, when it comes to seeing people that have followings, or, if they're on TV or something like that, when you see people that are, getting canceled and, those sorts of things, the problem happens because there's just tons of people watching that person. And when there's tons of people watching that person, it's a lot easier for somebody out of all of those people that are watching to take something out of context, for somebody to go back into their Twitter history, or, whatever the thing is. It's just a lot easier when you have a lot of people, for some of those types of people to be in there that will cause those types of problems for somebody. In addition to that, when people do start, getting money, and, they start getting, attention, that can also mess people up as well in terms of, like somebody that, was typically, struggling before, if they all of a sudden have this, influx of money happening, then that can start distorting their mindset. If they attach their personality to it, it can start distorting their mindset in terms of how important they are and how much their opinion matters and those types of things. And when that starts happening, then it can start to make them, a little bit weird, just to be frank about it. So, that those types of things can happen. In addition to that, people can start getting paranoid, that kind of stuff, because, if you didn't have it and then you have it, then you have the paranoia of like, okay, didn't have it. Now, what if it goes away? What if I lose it type of thing, right? So that paranoia can creep in from time to time, where it can just be like a monkey on your shoulder. In addition to that, in terms of the fame side of that messing with people, that whole like I'm important thing, that can definitely happen to people as well. But in addition to that, there's also positive sides. So, on the positive side of things, because, I don't want to just focus on the negative, because there's positives as well. So, so on the positive side, without question, all of this stuff, it impacts you, mentally, because, one, you're putting stuff out there, and, people are responding to it in a certain way. When they're responding to it in that certain way, if you attach your like self-worth to it, then in that case, like, let's say you publish some stuff, you start getting some negative feedback, then it can take you down this, spiral mentally of like, oh, that was probably the wrong video to make. I shouldn't believe it. I can't believe this person said that, to where, you end up getting kind of caught up in that sort of thing. So, mental health wise, you have to really make sure that you're taking care of yourself, and that you're being mindful about the process that you're going through. So like, let's say simply small engine repair. Let's say that you wake up tomorrow, or anybody here that's hanging out in this chat right now. Let's say that you wake up tomorrow, and when you wake up tomorrow, I mean, hopefully, we're all going to wake up tomorrow, but let's say that you wake up tomorrow, and when you wake up tomorrow, you notice that like one of your videos got shared by some like major media outlet. And let's say that major media outlet, like all of a sudden, because of all the people that came there, they're a great fit for your type of content, and YouTube identifies that. And then YouTube starts, showing your videos all over the place, and you just have this influx of people that start coming in. The first thing is going to be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Right. But then you have to start thinking about like, okay, I got to make sure that, that I'm, just being like brand safe, things like that. If that's something that I want to do in the future, you have to start considering things like that. Like, hey, if I'm interacting with these people online, and, something, like they're doing things that would negatively reflect on my brand, then I have to make sure that I'm being mindful of that as well. And, just kind of, like, sure, yeah, I'm still going to interact, but maybe, I'm not going to be as, I won't say supportive, because that's not the word that I'm looking for, but maybe I'm not going to be as interactive as I might have, previously been, because, I need to make sure that, all my stuff, is being perceived in a certain way. Right. So you got to think about stuff like that too. But on the positive side, money helps take care of everything. Fame, in terms of any time where you're getting attention, it opens tons of doors. So the opportunity, your ability to outreach people, in terms of, just being able to reach out to somebody and them just opening that door just because they know who you are, like those types of advantages are huge. So, in terms of your question, all of this stuff impacts your mental health. There's positives and negatives to it, of course. Some people, like YouTube content creators, for example, people that have, they didn't have a following before, and then they, blew up or whatever. Like, people have people go to their house. People have people follow them around. People have people, do all these crazy things. So, there's definitely positives and negatives to it. But as long as you can, navigate that, type of thing, then you're going to be perfectly fine. Let's see here. So, let's see as we keep on going down the list. Professor Ness says nothing guaranteed. Every second is a gift. Time is the ultimate commodity. Use it wisely. Absolutely. Okay. So, let's see here. Raising children. Yeah, we got that one already. So this next one here is from, let me make sure that I'm caught up to date here. Okay, so really quick, Super Duper OG
Super Chat
says, I wish that said Super Duper. I wish I had that for you, but I don't. I'm sorry. but I wish when I hit that button it said Super Duper OG. That would have been great, because it would have started. Everybody expects it to say Super Chat, but it would have like been branded to you. But says I got 50 videos deleted, over 6 million views total. Based on new guidelines, after 6 months, I can't hit the algorithm anymore. Any advice? Okay. So in terms of like hitting the algorithm, that's going to come down to the actual, performance of the video itself. So when the videos got deleted, you lose your public watch time, you lose the public view counts for those. However, YouTube still maintains the data on the people that are the most likely to enjoy your content. So since they still have, that data, then even when you delete those videos, YouTube still should be showing your content to, the people that the system thinks is a good fit for your content at that point in time. So here's some things just to think about. So one thing that I would definitely do is when you are, because I'm not sure where your guidelines are coming from, because you said based on new guidelines. But basically, like when you are putting your content out, what you want to think about, and I mentioned this earlier, so you might not have been here in the stream for it, but what you want to think about is you want to go into your YouTube analytics. YouTube's going to show you all the videos that are driving all your viewership right now. And you want to look just topically, and you want to say, okay, topically, what is it that, that has been bringing the most attention to my channel? And is there anything that I can do that would be, a logical next video for those people that are coming into the channel at mass from that content? Because, if you have that content that's proven to perform and it's proven to bring in those people based on the things that they're interested in, and it's all recent, like let's say that you bring it down to the last like 28 or 90 days. Well, when you publish something that's topically similar, then the likelihood of those people being recommended that content is going to be much higher on YouTube. So because of that, you want to make sure that you're doing that. You want to make sure that you're interlinking your content as well, in terms of if somebody watches one video, make sure that you're linking to playlists right now while you're trying to get everything moving again. Link to playlists as much as you possibly can in your end screens, link to playlists in your description, link to playlist in your pinned comment as well. Make sure that you give your channel a look over from the outside, because if you deleted, a bunch of content, 50 videos, then you might have holes in, some of the stuff that you're doing. So because of that, make sure that you're also, keeping in mind in terms of when somebody lands on my channel page, am I still making it easy for them to find the content that they're, that's most important to them, as fast as humanly possible, so that I can make sure that I'm, just, helping people flow through my channel. You want to make sure that you're, keeping those types of things in mind. But at the end of the day, you'll be fine. You just have to make sure that, that you're paying really close attention right now in terms of, the topics that you're choosing to make videos about and how you're actually putting everything together. Let's see here. So next up we have, Freema says, don't know if you're doing channel reviews today. If not, been a lurker for 1 year and appreciate what you do for people. Cheers. Thank you for the kind words. So we only do the channel. We only look at channels now in the membership. So we have a Facebook group, and we have like a Zoom call every Thursday. Sometimes we'll move it around like Friday or Wednesday, whatever. But every week we have a Zoom call, and during that call we look at channels. So in that group, I basically got a list. It's a one post. In that post, it's a list of channels, and basically anytime we go in there, I start at the last channel, and then I go through however far we get, and then we move on. But typically it'll be between like 2 and 5 channels that I'll look at per stream over there in the membership group. And there's the link to that. I'm just going to hit that button really quick, see if it goes. But yeah, for that, if you want to, be a channel member, that same $5 will get you, channel membership, as well. So, oh, it didn't post. Interesting. Gonna hit it one more time. Let me hit this like one, see if that one works. Okay. So, while all that's happening, let's see here. Let me, go into the next question. It is PR. Nope, we did that one already. So, Naked History says it's history, literature, and the goal of the channel is to build a community who I can share my work with. And the question, I'm not sure if my channel name is a help or hindrance. I get thousands of impressions on search from people searching for anything related to naked, but about 5% CTR. But I think the name also drives a lot of my channel views, through which I get about 10 to 13% click-through rate on videos. Should I stick with the name? So you might want to look at your channel in restricted mode. So there's a really good chance that that your channel might be getting restricted just by having that there. And basically what you want to do if you're on your phone right now, well, you can look on a desktop too, but what you want to do is you want to go into YouTube, and then in your settings, which you can just click on by hitting your profile picture. If you go down into your settings, then you are going to see here, let's see, where is this? General, and then restricted mode. So what you're going to see is once you click into general, is right here, you're going to see restricted mode. So turn on restricted mode. And when you turn on restricted mode, go visit your channel. If you have multiple accounts, switch to a different account before you do it. But you can do this on your computer as well, on like a logged out account. But basically, you want to just look at it on restricted mode and make sure that that name isn't causing you to be literally restricted in terms of the audiences that you're able to reach. Let's see here. Freema.
Welcome to the Nimminati.
Welcome to the Nimminati. So next time you get the chance, you can just do it now if you would like. Go to nimminvip.com. That is our members only. That will redirect you to our members only Facebook group. Fill out all the information on the way in, and I'll add you there as soon as the stream is over today. And then once you're in there, there's announcements, right, inside of Facebook in the groups. So it's announcement number 7 that you want to go to. But basically at the very top of it, it says, like, members only live stream. And then you're going to see a bunch of channels underneath that. So what you want to do is just scroll down to the bottom, put your link to your channel. And if there's something specific, if you're like, hey, my thumbnails, my titles, something like that, if there's something very specific that you're looking for, then put that, because then that helps me, make sure that I'm targeting that thing that's the most important to you or that you're trying to uncover. So that's kind of how that process works. Let's see here. So as we keep on going through the list here, we've got Kaludo. Kaludo says that they make Fortnite highlight videos. The goal of the channel says, I want to make a YouTube a full career. Question, I've had my channel for over 6 years and I haven't passed 100 subscribers. Any tips? Yeah. So I recommend that you go through the YouTube Creator Academy. It's free, provided by YouTube. I also recommend that you really start paying attention to what it is that you're doing on your channel in terms of, like, if you've been on YouTube for 6 years and you've been making content consistently for 6 years and you have 100 subscribers on your channel, then the content that you're putting out as of this moment in time, it's just not effective content. Or competitive. It's not competitive for the platform. So when it comes to YouTube, and this is really important for everybody to know, and this applies to me, it applies to you, it applies to, the biggest channels on YouTube and the smallest channels on YouTube. When you are publishing content, there's the stuff that, you can, just kind of put something together and just throw it up onto YouTube. And in some cases that will work and people will, like it, and you'll end up getting a lot of views and things like that. But in a lot of cases, it also doesn't work. So if what it is that you're doing, if you're just like, hey, I'm going to do it this way, because this is the way that I think that it should be done, and you consistently do that for a period of time and it's just not working, I really encourage you to experiment. So like currently, if you're doing Fortnite highlight videos, maybe you need to think of another thing to make videos about. Instead of doing highlight videos, maybe you could do, like how-to content for Fortnite, or maybe you can do something else. Because when you are doing the same exact thing over and over again for like years on end, but it's still not working, then the problem is what it is that you're making, right? So because of that, it's really important to make sure that, just like Damon Warren says here, it's really important to make sure that you're intentional with your content, that you're intentional with how you're putting that content together. And by content, like how you're putting that content together, the actual topics that you're talking about, very intentional with the thumbnails, that it's very clear. This video is about one thing. This next video is about another thing. If everything is like Fortnite highlight, Fortnite highlights, Fortnite highlights, and you're just repeating that, then, you can't expect that to do well just because you're repeating it, right? So there's a saying that you've probably heard about, if you do the same thing over and over again, and you expect it to change, then that's like the definition of insanity. That's kind of, this situation right here, to where you got to look at it and you got to say, hey, if I'm trying to do this full time and you've been doing this for 6 years, and you can't get past 100 subscribers, if it was me, I would just be like, okay, you know what? I need a fresh start. I would start a brand new channel and I would start really digging into, like, okay, I got to learn how to really do this stuff better than I'm currently doing it. And I would start going through the process of learning how to edit videos. I'd watch tons of content on editing videos, specifically editing gaming type videos, if that's what you're doing. I would watch tons of videos on design, on how to make thumbnails, on titles, titling, how to write headlines, that type of stuff. I would just watch tons of that type of content. And with every video that you watch, take a note on that video and start applying those things with every piece of content that you upload. And eventually, as long as you're willing to modify what it is that you're doing, you're able to, willing to change through the process and keep educating yourself and applying what it is that you learn, then through that process, you'll have a video pop a little bit more than the others, right? And then you're like, okay, here, what did I do? That video did better. Why did that video do better? Learn how to read your YouTube analytics so you can go and start uncovering, hey, this is why this video did better. What do I think caused those numbers to happen? Why do I think people clicked on this one more? Why do I think they watched this one more, right? Those are the types of questions that you want to ask yourself. Science-Based Fitness.
Super chat.
Says, Nick, I'm struggling with the what phrasing to put on my thumbnail. I'm doing a very common video topic about the bicep science breakdown. Do you have phrasing recommendations? 2 separate videos. Try just using images if you can. If you're talking about biceps, right? then actually it would be this. I don't have big biceps, but basically, get a good image, either of yourself or, like a stock image or something of a bicep, instead of, talking about the phrasing of, the text to put on your thumbnail. Experiment with doing a bicep, circle the bicep, or just put an arrow going to the bicep. And that's it for your thumbnail, instead of, feeling that you have to put, text on your stuff all the time. Because that was another thing that I talked about in my myth video that I published last week is, people often think that they have to put text in the thumbnails, but you don't. Like what you need to make sure that you do in your case is that you are able to visually connect with the people that are interested in fitness content. So because of that, in your case, just that bicep might do the trick. So just get a really, ripped bicep, I guess. If it's about, building the bicep, then in that case, just do it from the perspective to where the people that you're trying to reach would think, I want my bicep to look like that. So find that kind of image and then, put a highlight or something that pulls attention to the bicep and see if that ends up working out better for you than trying to force text onto it. But when it comes to, actual phrasing recommendations, if you are going to, put the text on there, then in that case, you could just put, biceps, bicep or bicep, workout or, something like that. So it'd be like bicep workout, 2 words. And then same exact thing, a good image of a nice bicep that somebody would, want to develop on their swole arms, on their swole bodies. Oh, let's see here. Our Juna J says, did the channel you watch on your account affect how your own content is shared? If I make hotel reviews, but I watch myself with some gaming videos? No. Yeah. So according to YouTube, when you like what you watch doesn't matter in terms of, how they're going to promote your videos or anything like that. So no, you're good. John Benson Sale, Copy Secrets.
Welcome to the Nimminati.
Next time you get a chance, go to Facebook, or I'm sorry, go to Nimmin VIP, my last name, VIP.com. That's going to redirect you to the Facebook group. Make sure you fill out everything on the way in, because that's how I verify that you are a member, so that I'll be adding it after the stream. All right, so let's see here as we keep on trucking through this today. So really quick, I'm going to pull this next question here out of the chat. So if you have a question, go ahead and put a Q in front of it so that I know that it's for me and not a side conversation. I'm going to answer a few out of the chat here as well. Okay. Yeah, so really quick on yours, if you still happen to be here, yeah, so check that out. But just keep in mind that that word does come with some things attached to it. So because of that, you might just want to do like in or something like that as well if you do find that you are restricted. Let's see here, looking for those cues. Okay, my watch time is growing much faster than my subscribers. How do I boost subscription rate while maintaining watch time? So one thing that you can do that can be helpful is just somewhere in your video have a little graphic that pops up reminding people to subscribe. In addition to that, somewhere in the video content, you don't have to interrupt your video. You don't have to stop the flow of what it is that you're doing, but ask people to subscribe. So, a lot of people will, just kind of put the brakes on the video and then have a moment, where it's like, oh, by the way, blah, blah, blah. So, so what you want to do is while your video is progressing, then, just mention, like, let's say that, you were doing like a phone review, right? Or let's say you're showing people how to use an app, then, they'd be watching to do the app, whatever. And then, you would, while you're waiting for something to load or something like that, you could be like, oh, hey, by the way, I put these videos out every Monday. So remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more app videos. And then, just keep on trucking, but make sure you're in the content first, before you do that. But asking, usually increases that number, but how you ask is also important. But right now, if you are just getting started, because I don't know, how far along you are, but if you're just getting started, like right now, I really recommend that you just focus all of your efforts, 100% of your efforts on like, how do I keep people watching my videos longer? How do I get people to click on my videos more? Because those two things are going to move your channel way more than a few extra people subscribing per video, right? So focus more of your efforts on learning how to get the people that you're trying to reach to click, and learning how to make content that they respond to at the highest possible level that you can do with the skill set that you have. And when you're doing that, just in case you don't know, there's something inside of your YouTube analytics called your audience retention reports. Your audience retention reports actually show you second by second how people respond to the content that you're doing. Let's see here. So next up on our list Any tips for how I should make my channel's avatar? I don't know how to draw. Right now, I'm using the character of the game that I play as my channel's profile picture. That's fine. You can definitely, use that sort of thing just to help people, identify it. But at the end of the day, just think like, your channel profile is just the thing that kind of represents you as you're interacting on YouTube. However, it's not going to make a difference in terms of, like people aren't going to all of a sudden start subscribing to your channel more. You're not going to all of a sudden get more views or anything like that. So because of that, what you're currently doing is fine. But one thing that I do recommend though, is, if you do want to take like a branded approach, then in that case, just try to make it, complementary to your channel art in some way. So that when you are, putting your, when somebody lands on your page, you just have that nice, representation of what it is that you're doing. But for now, like if you're just playing that game and that avatar that you're currently using, that anime character represents what it is that you're doing, then you're totally fine. Let's see here. So Ambient Dave, is that what that says? Yeah, Ambient Dave. What's up, Dave?
Superchat.
Says, hey Nick, I'm struggling to be consistent on uploading videos. Given I work shifts and trying to balance home life, any advice, please? Yeah. So when it comes to YouTube, it's definitely like if you're having a hard time now, like wait. like if you're just getting started and you're having a hard time like now, then just wait until, like a little bit down the road, like it gets increasingly more difficult. Just because, the more activity that you have going on in your channel, the more you want to interact with your community. And then, you're putting more time into it. Plus you start having, sponsors reach out, and then you start working with sponsors, and you have to hop on calls with them, things like that. So like, the workload can keep increasing. But what you want to think about is, with everybody here, everybody that's hanging out in the chat right now, we all have 24 hours in our day. And what is typically extremely effective for making sure that you get content done is scheduling it in. So like right now, like let's say, for example, if you have like your gym time that you schedule in, or you have like your, your shows, like let's say that you have, hey, like every night, I sit down and for 30 minutes, I watch, Rick and Morty, or an hour, I watch Rick and Morty, whatever. Then in that case, you might want to say, okay, well, for the week, my rule is that until I get a video finished, like I'm not catching up on Rick and Morty. So if that means I get a little bit behind, that's fine. But if you do have, little things like that you can, just kind of adjust based around, like, hey, I got to get a video done first, and then I'll reward myself with that. That can be advantageous. In addition to that, just scheduling it in. So like, for example, that you go to work every day. And that you have to be at the job by this time. And because of that, you have to wake up at a certain time. You have to get ready within a certain period of time. You have to be in the car and be in traffic by a certain amount of time so that you can make sure that you get there. Because if you don't get there, there's going to be penalties. If you do get there, then, maybe, you'll get raises in the future and all that good stuff. YouTube's the same. So what you want to do is you want to think to yourself like, okay, out of my entire week, where do I have places where I can schedule this in, to where I can schedule dedicated time, either a little bit every day or one day, to where I can, schedule more time so that you can make sure that, that you are prioritizing making the content. Because the problem comes when you don't make it a priority, then, it always gets pushed to the side, right? So it's like, hey, I'm going to do this, or, hey, I want to make a video today. But first, let me get these other things done, and then I'll make a video. And the next thing you know, you're tired, you just don't have the energy to do it. So because of that, just make sure that you're prioritizing it through scheduling the time to make the content. Other things that you can do as well. We all have downtime within everything it is that we're doing. We have traffic lights that we're waiting at. We have, bathroom time. We have time while we're eating. We have time at lunch. We have time, between, different stuff that we do. So another thing that you can do is you can use some of that time to come up with video ideas, to research video ideas, just, on your phone. And then of course you can take notes on your phone, like, yeah, I'm going to make this video. I'm going to make this video. And then, you can also use some of that time as well to kind of script out some of the things that you're doing, or write down the bullet points of the things that you're going to be talking about or showing, or, just different shot ideas, or, whatever it is for the type of content that you make. In addition to that, you also want to make sure that you're thinking about, question, better to do a bunch of videos within the schedule. Yeah. So you followed the question, or this question, with better to do a bunch of videos within a schedule. Absolutely. So that was what I was building up to, in terms of, you have the downtime that you're doing all of this other stuff in terms of research and all that, so that you end up getting to a certain point in the week, if you have a bigger block of time, to where you can sit down and actually start, cranking through just like a few different videos and get all the footage that you need over like a few hour period of time for the next like 2 videos instead of just one. If you are thinking ahead and you're recording more than one video at a time, then of course that will end up stacking up over time as well. So then you start creating a reserve, which then is great for your mindset. Let's see here. So next up, we have next on this list, we have, and I'm going to pull this one from the forum really quick, and then we're going to end up going back over. So this one's from Caludo. Caludo says, oh no, we did that one already. We did Caludo. So this one.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
RP Primetime. Didn't we do this one already? Yeah, we did that one. We already did our prime time. So let me move to another one. Okay, so Curtis Ward, 64, says they do gaming content. Goal of the channel is 200 subscribers. The question, is there a way to appeal to be a mod? So the moderators are people that I know and trust. So they are people that have been in the community for a long time. A lot of them are people that I've met in person. People that, that if I haven't met them in person, we've developed, relationships and trust through the relationship that we've had online, that kind of stuff. So that's what's up with the moderators. Let's see here as we keep on going. We've got Jerry Popandria, sorry about that, says that they do food reaction and recipes, and the goal of the channel is to build a community. The question, will using the title structure of big 500,000 subscriber plus YouTubers get your videos about the same topic suggested with their videos? No, not always. However, if you have a similar topic video that is very high response in terms of it performs like crazy, then YouTube will probably end up testing you there. So basically, one of the things that YouTube does when it's looking for content to suggest next to other content for a viewer is they look at the topical relationship between content. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if they watch a video on, how to toast toast, that the next video that they're going to recommend is how to toast toast, because there's a good chance that person might, have already figured out how to toast toast after they watch that first video. So because of that, maybe, how to toast Pop-Tarts might be the next thing on that list. So if you make a video about how to toast Pop-Tarts, then just based on the fact that you're both talking about toasting, then in that case, YouTube might end up testing your video next to that toast video. Or if you do make that video on how to toast, then, through that topical relationship of them being similar, then in that case, if your content is high performing, then, YouTube might test it next to one of their videos about toasting toast as well, just to see if, they end up, showing your content over there, or if people end up responding to you there. But YouTube tests your content all over the place. So if you go into your analytics and you see that, that YouTube is giving you impressions, like those impressions are happening all over the platform. So one thing that you'll find eventually with your YouTube channel is you'll find, like, and sometimes you publish a video, you go and you look at the suggested videos that you're pulling traffic from, you'll be like, wow, I'm pulling traffic from like Casey Neistat. Well, one thing that you might not be thinking in that situation is like, why is my cooking video showing up next to a Casey Neistat video? It might not even necessarily be that there's a relationship between your content and the Casey Neistat video. It's more that there's a ton of your viewership that probably also watches Casey Neistat, and they just happen to catch one of your viewers on a Casey Neistat video, or 10 or 20 of your videos on a Casey Neistat video, or a PewDiePie video, or whoever. And because of that, they show your content there just based around their interest, and then you're able to pull some of your viewership from there, even though they're not really recommending your video next to a Casey Neistat video. They're recommending your video to the people that are already interacting with your content next to a Casey Neistat video, right? So those types of things happen as well. Let's see here as we keep on going through the list. We've got Roy Richardson says they do tech news. Roy Richardson, tech news, reviews, and how-tos. Says the goal of the channel, I want to entertain and inform folks about tech that they should care about. Question, is it better for your channel to have your name or a moniker? Roy Richardson versus Tech Troublemaker. So there's positives and negatives of both. So when it comes to the positives, the positive of having your name is that if you want to build a personal brand, then you get to do that. With that personal brand, you get to, you can pivot that, at any point in time that you want, and it's still you, right? When it comes to a personal brand, the negative side of that is that it's on you. So let's say your channel ends up doing awesome. You end up getting, millions of subscribers, tons of activity, and you have like a website or, a company attached to it, and you decide to sell it. Well, somebody else can't take over necessarily right away, they might not necessarily be able to take over Roy Richardson. Whereas in Tech Troublemaker, you'd be able to just hand that right off. And even though you might be the main personality for that channel, they can start, having other people there that are not Roy. Right. So because of that, being able to look at it from that perspective in terms of like long term, what am I really trying to do with this, and thinking from that perspective. Another thing with the name, if you went with like Tech Troublemaker, for example, is if you are extremely active on YouTube, Tech Troublemaker, that's something that helps people identify that it's tech related and things like that, to where some people might end up going over to your channel just because of the name that you're using. So there's those types of advantages as well. So just when you're putting it all together, just think long term on what it is that you're trying to do long term with the channel, and just imagine like, hey, if this were to work out, like I would like it to work out in like 5 years from now, like what's my ideal scenario for that? Then if I were to meet that, which one of these names would be a better fit for what it is that I'm, that I would be trying to do long term in a perfect scenario, and that should lead you into the right decision for that. Let's see here. Yes, gaming channels grow nowadays. Absolutely. So if you go to YouTube Trends, or if you just go to YouTube, the homepage, and then you click on Explore, and then you click on Gaming up there at the top, you're going to see creators on the rise every day. You're going to see different creators on the rise. Those are gaming channels that are currently on the rise, which means that those channels are currently growing. And those are just the ones that, that they're highlighting there. But in addition to the ones that you're seeing there, there's also a ton that you're not seeing that are also growing every day. Let's see here. As we keep on going, we've got Morgan Tara. I never know how to say that. I always say like, I think it's like tarot, but I always want to say like tarot, but I don't think that's right. Like, how do you say tarot? Like phonetically, if you were to like spell that out, like I don't know if it's tarot or tarot, or like I've never, like I always mess that up. Like my whole life, I've always messed that up when I ran across that. So, maybe I just need to go to Google and just type it in and see what Google says. That's probably the best thing to do. Okay. So the goal of the channel is to grow a paying side hustle doing what I love. The question, how can I improve ranking so more can see my videos with just under 100 subscribers in a month? First off, 100 subscribers in a month, you're doing awesome. Just want to let you know that. Second, you're on the right track, so you'll be fine. If you're able to get, that type of activity, if it's all organic on YouTube in terms of you're publishing videos, people are coming in, they're enjoying your content, they're subscribing because of that, coming back, watching all that, then you're off to a great start. In terms of videos ranking, a few things that I want you to think about. One is that when you are looking at, ranking your videos in YouTube search, it's extremely powerful, and you definitely should consider that if your content type supports it, because, it's kind of like a low-hanging fruit, easy way to get traffic. However, in order to pull traffic or views from YouTube, your content has to perform well in search. So if you want to rank better in search, then your content has to perform better in search. So of course, you want to optimize it, for relevancy, because that's the default sorting on YouTube when people are searching for stuff. But in addition to that, you want to make sure that, that's excellent content, because if it's not excellent content, the other people that are making content that is more competitive than yours, they're going to end up, taking those views from you, because they're going to be higher up in the search results. However, if you are getting that great response, then, you as a 100 subscriber YouTube channel can compete with much larger YouTube channels that are showing up for similar results. So, keep that in mind as well. But it's all going to come down to how people respond to your videos on whatever surface it is. So for example, if you intend your video to show up in YouTube search, but people respond to it more from a homepage, well, in that case, you might get some search traffic for it, but YouTube is going to, show that to more people on the homepage, because that's where they're responding to it. If your goal is to get it showing up in search, but people respond to it more in suggested, then you're going to end up getting a majority of your traffic from suggested as well, even though you're going to get some search traffic. So, it's where your content performs the best. So the way that you can uncover that is when you go into your stats. If you go into the stats for one video, when you are on your analytics page, you click on advanced mode, and then you go into your traffic sources. Once you're in traffic sources, then you go down into your traffic sources, and it's going to show you it's going to show you search. It's going to show you home pages. It's going to show you channel pages. It's going to show you browse. It's going to give you this big list of, where you're getting views from. So what you want to look at is you want to look at like your click-through rate, your average view duration, all that stuff there, for the place that you're actually trying to get attention. So if you're trying to get that attention in search, then you want to make sure that the way that you're currently doing things, that it's actually doing better in search, and that'll help you out. Let's see here. Could you give tips to cover music channels to have a higher audience retention and get people to stick around? Music comes down to your music. So like I listen to tons of music on YouTube. And if I start listening to something and I'm just not vibing with it, I'm gone, right? So it's going to come down to your music. Like there isn't a way there, like when it comes to music or really any type of content, there isn't a way to necessarily like trick people. Like if you're taking people through a process, then of course, you know, there is things that you can do in terms of, you know, opening loops and all that. However, like when it comes to music specifically, like, you know, like there's not like a trick that you can do to get people to watch. Like they're going to watch because they think the music is awesome. So, you know, it's going to come down to, you know, you making awesome music with what it is that you're doing. You know, if the music is if the people that are responding to that video, if they enjoy that music, they're going to end up watching it, you know, for a fair amount of time or listening to it for a fair amount of time. If they're not, then they're going to end up leaving early. So, you know, so just make sure that you are paying close attention to that. One thing that music channels do a lot is they'll have these big long intros, right? To where it's like, you know, this intro's coming along and they've got, you know, shout outs to like the producer and the director and the location they shot it at and all this stuff. Next thing you know, it's like a minute gone and they've just been, you know, like just showing all of the different people that are involved in the music before they actually get into the music. So what you want to avoid is that sort of thing. So if you do notice that, you know, that when your videos first start, if you have a big drop off there and it's part of like an intro before the song actually starts, like there's just this build up. Let's say you have some type of like ambient buildup before you get into the actual song, then in that case, you want to say, okay, if that's what's going on, then on this next song that I publish, let me see if I can just get into the song quicker and see if that, you know, creates a better result with the retention. Let's see here. So let's see here. NASCAR All Out says, can you predict when you will hit 1 million subscribers? I've already hit 1 million subscribers. So I have 800,000 that you see on the page, but I've actually lost over 250,000. So I've actually hit 1 million subscribers already. But in terms of the ones that will end up showing up on my page, I would say, let's see here. I'm at 800 now. So probably within the next year and a half, give or take, is my prediction for that. So let's see here. So as we keep on going, hey, really quick, man, because I just saw this here. It says Nick left a comment on one of my videos, felt like a teenage girl at a boy band gig. So hey, man, your content is awesome. So as somebody that watches that type of stuff, I'll actually be listening to like a nice amount of your videos. Yeah, you have really, really good meditation videos. I wish some of them were longer. The ones that I picked on, because I was just like, hey, I want to just listen to some of the stuff, you know, and just give like a really short session. So I went and I picked one of the ones that was around like 5 minutes. But you know, I would love to have, you know, like a 10 or 20 minute, you know, like a handful of like 10 or 20 minute versions as well. Cause typically I try to kind of have my low end, and we're talking about meditation here, just in case, you know, for those of you that don't know. So, so like kind of the lowest that I typically will try to do is 10 minutes. But my average is I'm usually like 20 to 30. So, so, you know, having like, you know, like 20-minute breakdowns would definitely be advantageous in terms of somebody that consumes that type of content. But of course, you know, on your channel, you know, if people are coming to it for the 5-minute, you know, videos, and you notice that they're responding better to that, then of course, by all means, you know, do that. But I'm just saying for me. So I actually, just a heads up, Martin, you weren't there for it, I don't think, this week, but I did look at your channel in the members group. So that will be uploaded on Monday. So the recording is available now, but I'll be uploading that recording on Monday. So keep an eye out for that. If you weren't in the chat, and I don't think you were on that meeting. Let's see here. So as we keep on going here, we've got, we did Morgan Tarrant already. So let's do Art Detective. Okay, so Art Detective. Oh, okay, wait, let me back up here. I had some super chats that came in. Let me address these really quick. So the first one is, can you add a poll asking us our watch time? That I need more specific information there. Yeah, I can do that. I need more specific information there because do you mean like total watch time on the channel, average watch time for a video, like watch time in terms of like, you know, average view duration watch time, like total watch time, like, you know, just a little bit more specifics there. And when you're talking about watch time, if it is on a specific video, do you mean like, you know, average percentage viewed? Do you mean total watch time accumulated? Like, you know, what's the, definitely need specifics on that. So let's see here. Dark Lights Art Lab says, I found past promotions on Instagram useless. Absolutely. If you would have came here first and asked me that, I would have told you. I would have saved you a few bucks for whatever you did over there. Says, is it worth paying for a YouTube ad to promote your new channel? 1 month here with 22 subs. So when it comes to running ads for your channel and using, like external promotion, here's the problem that happens. So first off, a lot of the services that you're going to use are actually just bots. To where they'll sell it like it's real people, things like that, but it's actually just bots. So the problem there is that it's just essentially fraudulent, activity. You can run ads, for your own stuff. You absolutely can do that. However, the problem arises here. So let's say that you spend, we'll just say like $100 on a ad campaign to bring attention to your videos, and you see those views and you're like, hey, this is working. This is great. Maybe you had, a couple of people subscribe just based on numbers, right? So because of that, you're like, hey, like I got a few subscribers from this. I got a few, a handful of views from this. So I'm just going to keep spending some money here on ads. I'm going to run ads here on a regular basis. And you start doing that and you're like, wow, people are really, responding to what it is that I'm doing. But then you're like, you know what? Hey, let me turn off my ads and see what happens. Then what happens is if you haven't learned how to get an organic response yet on YouTube, as soon as you turn off the ad spend, then your views dry up because you still haven't learned how to, get people to click organically when your content shows up on a homepage or recommended next to another video or in search. You still haven't went through the process of learning how to get people to click, and you haven't went through the process of learning how to get people to watch and enjoy your content. So because of that, you'll notice that if you are currently running ads, if you haven't went through that process yet, as soon as you stop, then everything else stops. So what you want to do is you want to, instead of, spending a bunch of money on ads, just for the sake of inflating numbers that don't really matter, what you want to do is you want to focus on, okay, this particular video, this is how much people were clicking on it in your YouTube analytics. Like YouTube shows you all this stuff for free. So this is how, this is how people were clicking on it based on the amount of impressions that I got. And impressions, just in case you don't know, that basically means that one impression means YouTube showed your video one time to somebody on the platform. Okay. 100 impressions means that YouTube showed your content 100 times to 100 people somewhere on the platform. That's what an impression is. But basically what you want to look at is you want to look at, how good you are at getting people to click. That's called your click-through rate. And you want to average that, or you want to compare that against the impressions that you're getting. In addition to that, you also want to look at how people are responding to the video content itself. So one of the things that you're going to notice is when a video first starts, typically there's some type of drop off there, but what you want to do is you want to stop that drop as fast as possible. And you want to keep people watching and just interacting with that video as much as possible. And the better you get at that and making that happen in terms of getting people to click and getting people to watch and interact further with your video, the better your videos are going to perform naturally on the platform. And the more views you're going to start getting over time, the more subscribers you're going to start getting over time, and you'll create that sort of snowball that happens. But the problem is when you start, spending a bunch of money on ads, but you haven't learned how to do that part of it yet, then you can, kind of end yourself in a very discouraging situation, because then in addition to all of the, effort and time that you spent putting your content together, you've been relying on ads, which means that you've been spending a lot of money as well. And you've been putting your efforts there, but not on the thing that matters, which is the core thing, the most important thing, which is the actual content. And content is defined as your topic, your title, your thumbnail, your topic, title, thumbnail, and of course the video content that you're putting up onto YouTube, right? So I really encourage you right now, since you're just getting started, to go through the process of like, hey, I'm going to upload a bunch of videos over the next, 3 months, over the next 6 months, whatever it happens to be. I'm going to upload a bunch of videos, but I'm going to spend tons of time like learning how people are responding to my paying attention to how people are responding to my videos, and trying to uncover different ways that I can just add tons of value to people to keep them watching my videos for longer periods of time, keep them coming back from the channel because they think my content's awesome, keep them clicking on my content because, I'm learning how to, stop the people in their tracks when they're scrolling through on their phone, and, help them identify that the content that I'm making is something they might be interested in, and I'm getting them to click on it. Like, practice those things. And you'll do fine. But if you, are just relying on ads, then that's gonna, if you don't learn the other stuff, then you're really just wasting money. You're just throwing it away, because the problem happens is, like I said before, when you turn that off, let's say that you're able to get 100. Let's say you got 22 subscribers, right, on your channel, and all of those came from ads. Well, when you publish a video, because those people have recently interacted with your content, they subscribe, it's a positive signal. So when you publish a video, some of those 22 people are going to end up getting, presented your video on a homepage, or recommended next to them in search, or maybe even just in their subscriber feed, in their sub feed. So when your content gets recommended to them there, then if you can't get them to click, then you just wasted those efforts on spending all of that, ad money and figuring out how to run ads and all that stuff, but you're still not able to get those people to click, right? So that's the idea. So you want to make sure that you're spending your effort on the right things that will actually move the needle for you compared to trying to speed things up by running ads and that sort of stuff. Because a lot of content creators will do that to where they're like, hey, I'm going to put a bunch of money in ads so I can kind of jumpstart this thing. But then they actually end up, working against themselves, by doing that. Okay, so as we keep on going, so we've got, let's see here. Oh, did my comments stop collecting? Hold on. Oh, no, there we go. Okay, so let's see here. Total to monetize 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 2,000, 3,000 to 4K plus. Okay, to monetized. Okay, let's see here. So we're trying to get to monetization. So here's what I'll do. So the question is, how close are you to monetization? We'll do that one. How close, and my keyboard's being weird. Give me 1 second. Let's type a little bit slower. Yeah, this is good. This will be an interesting thing on my end as well. How close are you to monetization? So we're going to do 0 to 1,000. 0 to 1,000 watch time. We're going to do 1,000 to 2,000. Whoa. There we go. Watch. Man, my keyboard's like doubling stuff up. This is weird. Whoa. Here, hold on. Let me unplug this and I'll just plug it right back in and we're just going to keep on trucking here. I think I'm having a problem with my USB port. Okay, to 2,000 watch time. That's one downside, right? Like people will look at this live stream, they're like, hey, this is a pretty cool live stream. But like the downside of having all this stuff is there's so many things that can go wrong with all this stuff connected to your computer. So much fun. Okay, let's see here. 2 to 3,000. And then we will do 3 to 4. 3,000 to 4,000. Watch time. Boom. So let's see here. So as we keep on going, so next up we have Gray Man Prepping.
Super chat.
Says, between your techniques and utilizing TubeBuddy, I've definitely seen an uptick in views on a consistent basis. What's your congratulations to you for applying the information too? Because, like a lot of people will hear this stuff, but they'll, hear it and they won't actually apply. They won't actually apply it to the YouTube channel. So it's awesome that you're like, hey, this is some information. Let me see what I can do here. High five and fist bump to you for that. What's your opinion on the Shure M7? I've never played with one. So I have the SM7B. I haven't messed with the M7, so I have no context for that. Because I'm in Thailand, those types of things like, the new microphones and stuff like that, I would typically, pre, situation that we're in the world right now, I would typically go to the States, like 4 or 5 times a year for conferences. And because of that, I could pick up, new gear that was coming out and all that stuff. But here there's usually a delay on that kind of stuff. And in some cases, like now, like my stuff, like I've got more microphones than I need right now already. So even if I do see one available here, like I probably won't pick it up. So I'm just not the right person to answer that question, unfortunately. So next up we have Don
chat.
E says, stopping by to say hi. What is up, Don E? Hope that you are doing fantastic. So let's see here as we keep on going. So let's see what this poll is looking like. So far we have 0 to 1,000 is 69%. 1,000 to 2,000 is 12%, 3,000 to 4,000, 16%, and 2,000 to 3,000, 4%. All right. Yeah, so that's with 54 votes as of right now, but we'll keep it up there for a little bit. Let's see here. Okay, so okay, this is good. So Clementia Glazinska, hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. Says, that is mega confusing. How much do I have, or how much more do I need? Oh, for the poll. Yeah, it's just how much do you have? Like, like if you're going towards watch time, how much do you currently have? Or how much do you need? Yeah, you know what? I guess I probably could have done that a little bit better. How close are you to monetization? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, so maybe I could have done that better. That actually isn't that clear on that particular poll. So let's see here. As we keep on going, Art Detective says it's a channel about animation and cartoons. The goal of the channel is to entertain. The question, 2 questions. I'm a new YouTuber. Any advice on making a channel where I post animations, interesting facts about animation? Also, when I put my username in the search bar on YouTube, my channel isn't popping up. Only channels with similar names pop up. How can I fix this? So it'll fix over time. You know, as you publish content and people come in and they start interacting with your channel, it'll come up over time. But this example right here shows the importance of coming up with a unique name. So that's another thing that I didn't mention for the person that was asking the details on the channel name. Is that's another thing you want to look for, is you want to look to see if the name is being used a lot by YouTube or by people on YouTube, even though they might not have the URL for it. You want to see if the you know, if there's a lot of people with that same name to where it's going to kind of, you know, pollute your water, so to speak. So make sure that you are doing that. Says I did butcher the name. Sorry about that. Yeah, my apologies on that. I definitely tend to do that from time to time. Sorry about that. Let's see here. So as we keep on going. Oh, and how can you fix this? Yeah, so just keep going. But in addition to that, also make sure that like on your videos, make sure that you know, right now, or not your videos, but like your About Me page, make sure that you have that fully, you know, fleshed out and you have that fully filled out as well. Make sure that you put your channel name in there somewhere. So like, for example, because your channel name is Art Detective, so it'd be like, you know, Art Detective, you know, covers, you know, or you know, Art Detective, you know, shares, you know, animations and cartoons and the process of, you know, putting them together, or the specific value that you offer. But, you know, make sure that you're adding that type of thing to your About Me page as well. But ultimately, you know, as your content, you know, gets put out more and people are responding to it, then it'll end up rising up. Okay, differences between watch time, hours, and views. Okay, so so watch time is, there's actually a bunch of, not a bunch, but there's different ways this is all put together. So basically you have watch time for the channel, and that is like the total amount of watch time that you've accumulated. So if you are trying to get into the YouTube Partner Program, you need to have 4,000 hours of watch time. That can be accumulated across multiple, and it is accumulated across multiple videos on your YouTube channel over time. So that's one. In addition to that, you have the watch time for the video. For the video, you have the amount of watch time that the video is accumulating as a whole, like this video has generated this much watch time. You also have the watch time in terms of, for the video, each person usually watches on average like 2 minutes of this video, or 5 minutes of this video, or 10 minutes of this video. So you have that watch time as well. Views are when somebody clicks on your thumbnail or your title and they start watching your video. That's what a view is. So the difference is, the watch time is how much time they spend on your content, you know, in all different, you know, versions of the watch time. It's how much time they spend watching your content, and the actual views are, you know, those are people that have actually clicked on what it is that you have, that have actually started, you know, interacting with your content. That's the difference between the two. Let's see here. Gray Man Prepping.
Welcome to the Nimminati.
Make sure that next time you get the chance, go to nimminvip.com. That's going to redirect you into our members only Facebook group. Fill out all the information on the way in, and I'll be adding you after the stream today, when I go into chill mode after the stream. So I'll see here. Mike Z Gamer says, appreciate all your advice, Nick. Thank you. P.S. Millions of subs are coming your way, brother. Thank you for that. Yeah, we're getting close. We still got, you know, 200,000 to go until we get to the million mark, but we'll definitely get there. It's got to keep trudging it out. But, you know, to be honest with you, like for me, like 100,000 subscribers, you know, 1 million subscribers, like, yes, I want the play button. Don't get me wrong. Like, I want that play button. But like at a certain point, you know, like the numbers just start kind of like, it's just kind of like, holy cow, that's like just like a lot of people. So it just, you know, like 700 to 800, 500 to 600, like, you know, like all of those numbers, they're all like huge and awesome. But, you know, like at a certain point, it's just, you don't really focus on that as much. And you just focus more on like the view counts and the interactions that you're getting from people, and, you know, like that kind of stuff, just other goals that are not necessarily subscriber based. Let's see here. So as we keep on going, we've got, let's see, let's go ahead and pull some out of the chat. So if you have a question, go ahead and drop it in the chat right now. Make sure that you put a Q in front of your question. I don't answer questions without a Q unless I just happen to see it and I know it's for me. But when you put that Q, it just helps me identify that it's for me. Let's see here. While that's happening, I'll pull one out of the chats here, or out of the forum here as well. So let's see here. So we've got, no, we did our detective already. So next up here on our list, we have a music creation channel called Ambient Dave. What's up? Got Dave here again. Says, hey Nick, my issue is frequency of uploads as I work part-time. Okay, so we got him taken care of already. So I'm gonna keep on moving then. And we're gonna go to the next one, and we will go ahead and do this. So what editing software, I'm guessing, is what you're saying? So for me, I started on Adobe, or not Adobe, but I started on Sony Vegas at the time is what it was, but now it's like Magix, but it's just called Vegas Pro now. But then I moved over into Premiere Pro. That's like, I use that just because, you know, they make tons of, you know, plugins for it and stuff like that. But like for my screen recordings, I use Camtasia for that. And depending on the screen recording. So like, let's say that you see one of my videos and the whole video is a screen recording with the exception of like an intro, maybe like a few cut-ins and an outro, then in that case, I'll edit the entire video in Camtasia just because it's easy. So I'll use either Camtasia or I'll use Premiere Pro, just because Premiere Pro, you know, extremely versatile and all the different stuff that you can get for it. Plus it's what my editor uses as well. So I do that just to make sure that if I have like a question or something, so I can make sure, you know, that I'll be like, oh, hey, you know, I can ask him about it. But I've moved fully away now from Vegas Pro. I'm actually, it's still on my computer, but I'm probably going to delete it soon just because I'm more comfortable now using the other stuff than Vegas Pro. But like with Camtasia, I've been using that since like September 2014 for like screen recordings. But now when I do the screen recordings, I used to export it. Basically, I would do the screen recording, export it, and then pull it into the software that I was using to edit. But now, you know, with the 2021 version, it's so good that I'll just do everything within Camtasia, and then I'll just spit it out if it's a dedicated screen recording video. So let's see here. As we keep on going through the list, Guan TV, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Let's see here. So Hez and Eli family says, blessings, Nick. First time catching you live. Welcome to the live stream. Hope that you're doing fantastic. So what we're doing, just for anybody that's just joining the stream right now, I do want to let you know what I'm doing is I'm answering YouTube questions. So we're pulling them out of the form that's in the description below this video right now. I'm pulling them out of there, and then I'm also occasionally pulling them out of the chat as well, so that I can make sure that I'm, you know, serving both of those. Because I know basically with the form, that's like the early bird thing. So I try to get through as many of those as I can. But with the chat, I pulled those because I know some people, you know, maybe they're sleeping when the stream first starts or something like that. And I want to make it, you know, kind of fair for everybody. Fly Ride says, do you think they'll make me a security guard at Vid Summit just because I'm tall? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I've definitely hit Daryl up on that one. It's possible. Yeah, it's definitely possible. Let's see here. What viewer engagement is best to focus on for long-term growth? Likes, subscribers, or comments? Watch time. Watch time and click-through rate. That's the engagement. Like if you want to focus on something for long-term in terms of a metric on YouTube, you want it to be click-through rate and watch time in terms of average view duration for your videos. That's the thing that you want to focus on because those are the things that actually move the needle. So for example, you can have a video that you have your comments turned off and it can get millions of views if the content itself is good, right? In terms of people are clicking on a lot if they're watching it a lot. So because of that, you know, you want to focus on the thing that moves the needle the most, which is your ability to get people to click on what it is that you're doing. That also comes with your ability to, you know, come up with ideas for videos that people that you're trying to reach are interested in. But, you know, basically coming up with the ideas, learning how to get people to click on them, learning how to make the content in a way that people will watch it for a longer period of time. And of course, if you can also, you know, work into that like, hey, I'm also making this content to where it's going to resonate with my viewers in such a great way that they're going to want to share this with somebody, then that's also going to help your channel grow faster as well. Because then you take some of your viewers and you turn them into people that are essentially spreading the word about what it is that you're doing with other people, which then, you know, will bring some of those people into your content as well. Let's see here. I'm a multi-passionate and wonder if they can all exist on one channel since they will all have a faith-based perspective. Parenting, study, and teaching tips, goal setting are the paths. So everybody is multi-passionate. Like everybody, you know, has multiple things that they're interested in. That's part of just being human. The thing when it comes to YouTube or the difference. Hey, what's up, Tom? Hope you're doing great, man. The difference is when it comes to YouTube is, you know, we're all interested in all these different things, but it's what we choose to put on our YouTube channels to serve the audience that we're trying to reach, right? Like that's where the difference happens. So, like I could publish videos on my channel of, me and my girlfriend playing, Fortnite, or me playing Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty. But I don't, because, I'm trying to serve you as a YouTube content creator with content that's going to help you thrive on YouTube. If I wanted to, like I make music too. So, like I could share some of my horrible, very bad sounding music on my YouTube channel and you'd probably unsubscribe. But if you didn't unsubscribe, you probably wouldn't even click on those videos anyway, because, you're not on my channel to listen to music, right? Like that's not what you come here for. So, when it comes to YouTube, it's important to make sure that the content that you're putting on your channel, that you're being very clear about, these are the people that I'm trying to reach with my content. Because, when you try to reach everybody, you end up reaching nobody. So these are the people that I'm trying to reach with my content. This is the audience that I'm trying to serve. And even though, I'm multi-passionate, I'm going to focus my channel on a specific thing, or a few specific things that are directly targeted for a specific audience. So one way to look at this is you have here parenting, study, and teaching tips, goal setting are the paths. So if you're doing parenting and you're doing studying and teaching tips, then you have to think, okay, then the parents that I'm going after or that I'm trying to reach, are they people that are homeschooling their kids? If they're people that are homeschooling their kids, then in that case, the study and teaching tips would apply to the parents in that case. If it is, goal setting for the kids, then in that case, all three of those, would work together, because then you would have the parenting. So then you're reaching parents. You would have the studying teaching tips. So then you would be reaching the parents that are homeschooling for them, right? So it'd be like, I'm trying to reach parents that are homeschooling their children. That would be, the very top level of your audience. Of course, you can get more granular, but it would be like, okay, that's the top level of who it is that I'm trying to reach. Parents that are homeschooling their kids, therefore they need to know these study and teaching tips. Or if it's people that are just like highly involved in their kids and, all the stuff that they're doing after school, then in that case, they might be a good fit too. But then, the goal setting, if you're doing like parenting and goal setting, but not necessarily the studying teaching tips, then that can lead you towards a different audience, because then you're reaching parents that are maybe go-getters, parents that are, trying to mix their work and family lives, parents that are, trying to accomplish, additional things, besides, being a parent, or besides, just parenting. So, it depends on who it is that you're trying to reach. You want to make sure that you're catering the content to that audience, because this is why. When you have a channel that is Andrew Can in the house, what's up, my man? Hope you're doing awesome. Dude, your message was hilarious. So Andrew had a food delivery person. Andrew was wearing a Nimmin t-shirt, and he had a food delivery person come and deliver food to his place. And the food person was like, hey, I know, or he's like, hey, I watch Nick Nimmin. So he sent me a message on Facebook. It's a video message. He was like laughing, about it. Like, hey, I just had this dude leave, saying that he, watched the channel or whatever. So super funny. But one of the things that you want to think about with what it is that you're doing here, Chanda, is you just want to think about, okay, I've got all these different things that I'm interested in. What is it that I can make content about that I'm the most passionate about, that I'm going to be able to make the biggest impact with in terms of the people that I'm trying to reach? And you want to focus everything on that. And the reason that it matters is because if you make content that is about parenting and you start getting this audience of parents, and then you start making this studying and teaching tips content, or maybe the goal setting content, if the parents are coming to you for parenting content, then you start putting this other stuff out there that they don't really care about, then the likelihood of them clicking on it is going to be much less. Now, of course, you can develop that audience over time, and that audience over time, and that audience over time, but it's going to end up taking you way longer to do that. And, like if you want to just focus on like, hey, I'm trying to serve this audience and grow this channel, then in that case, I would say I would define your audience crystal clearly and say, before you decide to make a video, say, okay, is this going to fit for the people I'm trying to reach? Yes, I'm going to make it. No, then I'm just going to shelf it for now. Maybe I'll make it on another channel in the future. Maybe once my channel gets bigger and I start doing some experimentation, in terms of, are people coming here for me? Or they're coming here for, the content, like what's going on there? If you do find that, hey, I can make pretty much anything, then in that case, maybe you want to revisit those ideas. But for now, if you're just getting started, then in that case, I would make sure that you're just focusing on a very specific audience and that you do everything that you can to just provide them with awesome content. Oh, let's see here. As we keep on going through the list, Fit Dad Chris says, I record in 1440p, 30 frames per second. Keep it the same through editing when casting to my HD TV, little fuzzy YouTube settings and Roku highest quality 200 megabytes. I'm not sure what your question is there. I don't know if you're trying to, make it more clear or what it is that you're trying to do. But I'm not sure of the answer on that one in terms of like getting into like, the bit rates and stuff for the video to make it, to make it clear. But if you notice that it looks okay on like a small size, but you're just trying to fix it on a bigger size, then in that case, you might want to just try sharpening. So I would just upload some unlisted videos or maybe videos on another channel that you can test, where you'll be able to find them yourself. But basically, just to experiment with like sharpening and things like that and see if that makes a difference. Because I know like when I shoot with my Canon camera, that requires a considerable amount of sharpening versus when I shoot with one of my Sony cameras and the lens kit that I have in there. So you might need something like that in order to make it a little bit more crisp and pop a little bit better on a TV. Let's see here. Andrew says he's on mobile, so he can't say hello, but hello all. So I got you covered there, man. Instead of tagging everybody, I just tagged everybody for you right there. So let's see here as we keep on going. We've got, let's see here. Magic Flying Potato says, how would I go about live streaming gaming content with only one monitor and still be able to interact with my viewers? My other monitor and computer gear on a ship from Germany to the States right now. Ooh, you must have just had a big move, or you just ordered a bunch of stuff. So when you are on one monitor, one thing that you can do is if I switch to this shot, hold on. I switch to this shot, you can see how, even though this is one big monitor, like I basically just kind of grab this stuff and I will move it. I'll just kind of grab the browser. I'll grab the browser. I have it basically open in different browsers and I move it around. And one of these things that you'll see here is this one right here in the middle, this one. This is the YouTube chat. So up here in the very top right of the YouTube chat, like if you go into your live stream page over here, you can actually, through this little 3-dot menu at the very top, you can hit that and you can click an option to pop out chat. So when you click that option to pop out chat, it gives you this little skinny version, and you can do the same exact thing here as well, to where you can kind of just scoot this over. You can see there, I'm moving it back and forth. And I can scoot this over and I can make it, relatively thin. So if you're on one monitor, what you might want to do is have like your main streaming stuff, like over here, like your mainstream window, and then just kind of scoot that over a little bit, or make it just a little bit smaller there so that you can fit the chat in over on this side. And then when you do that, that's going to, help you basically be able to, have both of those versions on your screen so you can watch the chat and you can also, do whatever else it is that you're doing in your live stream with your game. Another thing that people do in that situation is you might also, like if you're not necessarily typing anything, but you want to do like a full screen game and that's what you're trying to do, then in that case, you might want to just have your phone open and just see the stuff there, so that you can verbally interact versus, actually typing stuff out, either a phone or if you have like a tablet or something like that, or even your TV. Like, one thing that I do, like when I travel is I always go and see my mom. So if I go to the States for something, then I'll go and I visit my mom. And if I live stream there, I'll do it in her living room. So basically it'll be like my laptop, but I'll have the stream open on the TV as well. So it's like the laptop is here, with a screen. It's like a 15 or 16 inch screen on the laptop. So it's pretty small. And then, the TV will be like across the room and then I'll be able to see the chat from the TV there. So then, by doing that, I can control the stream, do all that stuff. But then I see the chat on, on the TV across the room. I'll see here. Andrew Can says, please drink water. Absolutely. I'm rocking coffee at the moment here, Andrew. So I got the coffee. So as soon as this is done, I will definitely switch over to water. I got a whole liter bottle underneath the desk right now, just kind of waiting. All right. So let's see here. As we keep on trucking through these comments, through these questions here, I'm actually going to share an invite link. I didn't do that last week. I was just kind of in the moment and I forgot to do it. So I'm just going to share this link in here just in case any of the homies want to, come in and hang out in the stream here. Let's see here. There we go. Boom. So I'm just going to share that link over there just in case. And then we're just going to keep on rolling. Hey, no sweat. Let's see here. Okay. So let me go back into the questions. So is my music still playing? I feel like my music's off. It was off. There we go. Okay. So let's see here. The next question that we have on our list here is from Gamer Shark. Gamer Shark says they have a funny video channel. The goal of the channel says I'm uploading videos to have fun and be famous. My goal is 20,000 subscribers. How to grow my YouTube channel. It's free. I made one video that got 914 views and I'm still growing, but I'm stuck at 6 subs. Please help. Keep going. So, one of the things that you're going to have to do is, like if you're just getting started on your YouTube channel, you have to understand that, YouTube is like anything else. There's a learning curve that you're going to have to go through. So some people will publish content, and because they just have, intuitively, they kind of know like, hey, this is a good video or this isn't a good video, and it matches with how the audience responds to it. And because of that, they'll be off to a fast start. For the rest of us, we have to go through a different process. That process is, okay, I'm uploading content. Now I got to learn how to make better videos. I got to learn how to make better thumbnails. I got to learn how to make better titles. I got to learn how to come up with better video ideas. I got to learn how to, communicate with the camera. I got to learn how to, edit my videos in a way that keeps people watching. I have to learn how to color correct. I have to learn how to process my audio. Like you got to go through all these things that you have to learn how to do. And you learn how to do that through the process of making more content. So, what I recommend that you do is I recommend that you just focus on, making content, and that you focus on that educational side. So YouTube, if you're just getting started, for everybody here, actually, because there's a lot of people in here that are, just getting started according to this poll up here. So for everybody here, there's a free resource for you called the YouTube Creator Academy. YouTube puts it out. And basically what it is it's educational material based around being a YouTube content creator. So, they teach you all kinds of great things in terms of, the things that are helpful for you to know as a YouTube content creator. Little details, like, hey, when you're writing titles, make sure that if you have like an episode number or a channel name or anything like that you're adding to it, make sure you put that at the end of your title, where if it gets cut off, something like that, it's not a big deal. Focus the thing that is the most important to the viewer towards the front of your title. Little details like that. It's filled with that kind of stuff that'll help you, better understand what it is that you're doing on YouTube. Let's see here. Please drink water. Got that one. One monitor. Got that one. Got that one. Got that one. Got that one. Okay. Just making sure that I had some of these taken care of here on the list. And also Grayman Prepping. Yeah, I think I welcomed you to the channel, but just in case,
welcome to the Nimminati.
Go to nimminvip.com when you get the chance. That will redirect you to the landing page of our members only Facebook group. Fill out all the information on the way in, because that's how I verify that you are a channel member on the way in. Let's see here. As we keep going, sorry, I just read a message from Andrew. So as we keep going, let's say that we did the funny video channel. So let's go to the next question here. So next one on our list here is from Krishna. Just a heads up, we're like 23 questions deep already here on this forum. So that's pretty awesome. So let's see here. The next question here is from Krishna Raghavendran. I apologize if I messed that up. Says that they do coding in MIT App Inventor. That's the type of channel. The goal of the channel is for people to create mobile apps. How to get people to join the channel membership? That's a really good question. So getting people to join your channel membership comes down to what it is that you're offering in your membership. So for mine, I have a Facebook group, for example. In that Facebook group, people can ask me questions. People can, we have like our weekly meetings. My thing that I have on the outside in terms of when people are looking at my channel membership is I have that I do a monthly live stream, but in reality, I'm in there every week because I'm trying to help people out. But my obligation is, one time per month. But basically I have that group where people can, ask questions, or they can also interact with each other as well. And I could have multiple tiers and things like that, but I don't do that. Like my thing with the $5 instead of it being like $20 or something like that is because I just want to create a minor separation between, the people that are like, hey, I'm willing to throw a few bucks at this just for that, extra, information and all that, versus the people that are, that are not. So it's just that, extra thing. Cause I get tons of people reaching out to me all the time. And, because of that, I have like a certain amount of time, just like everybody else, out of your day. So because of that, that helps me be able to prioritize, people that are also willing to contribute back as well. So in addition to that, like I still will answer, stuff off of, like Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. However, that's just a way for me to, just make it more of an exchange to where I can be like, hey, they're also giving value back as well. So because of that, let me prioritize that. But when you are, when you're thinking of, getting people into your YouTube channel membership, it comes down to what it is that you offer. So in your case, you could do something similar to me, since you're teaching people how to code apps, to where you have, specific training that you do, in a Facebook group or something like that, or even on your YouTube channel, because you can upload specific videos just for members. You can do live streams just for members, that kind of stuff, to where you could, train them how to do apps, or just do Q&As, whatever it happens to be, just for that little bit of additional value that they'll be able to get. Because, there's a difference. And this is why I actually do these live streams. There's a difference between somebody watching one of your YouTube videos and getting that information and leaving a comment, and versus somebody being able to ask you a question that is directly related to their problem and you answer it in real time, right? So, when it comes to like the membership stuff, like that's where that happens. And you can do that in live streams as well, like I do here. But that's where, those types of memberships can become more valuable. Let's see here. So next up on the list, we've got Drew Project. Drew Project says that they do music acoustic cover videos. The goal of the channel is to go full time. The question says, I produce high quality acoustic cover song videos with a different vibe, instruments sometimes, with camera movements, motorized sliders, etc. Started in May. Messed up channel with Facebook ads big time. So now I'm desperate to fix all the damage that I made with that. I'm consistently publishing one new song per week. Unfortunately, I'm stuck at 81 subs and very little views. I think that my problem is probably my thumbnails and titles, but I'm constantly trying to improve and experiment. I read the YouTube formula, which inspired me a lot, but without, and that's this book right here, by the way. It's written by my friend Daryl Eves right here. This book, all these books are great. I got links to them all down in the description. But this one right here is the one that he's talking about, YouTube formula. Awesome book there. But basically says that, but without enough views to get the data to adjust what I'm doing, how do I know if I'm actually doing it wrong? How long should I wait before changing and trying a new title or thumbnail if I don't have data to guide me? So what you have to do there is you have to kind of keep going based on intuition. Based on intuition and research, because you want to look and see, like, hey, what are other channels doing to, get this attention as well. But you want to, you want to use some of your intuition and just, research to kind of lead you until you start collecting the data. It's kind of your only choice, unless you might want to go into a group like Tube Ritual. It's on Facebook. In that particular group, it's Brian G. Johnson's group. I think there's like 20,000 plus YouTubers in there, but it's all people that are like serious about YouTube. So you want to go into a group like that. You don't want to go into a group where people are like trying to get each other to watch videos and stuff like that. Those are garbage groups. You want to avoid those. If you're a member of those, then just go ahead and unsubscribe to them, because they're not going to add any value to you. But if you go into like Tube Ritual, or you go into like video makers or marketers, and there's just like a very few limited amount of other ones that are actually quality Facebook groups for content creators. But if you go into those groups, ask, hey, is there anybody here, anybody else here that has a music channel that wants to collaborate? And by doing that, if there is somebody else that wants to, like they do a part of a song and then you do a part of the song and you guys kind of make a mashup or something like that, then what you do there is you start actually developing some relationships with other people who make content like yours as well, to where you can start getting some feedback from them. Like, hey, out of curiosity, this is what I'm getting, with my videos. In terms of like retention and, people clicking on them, stuff like that, to where you can start actually interacting with people that are doing similar content to you. And you guys can start sharing, data back and forth in terms of things that are working, things that aren't working, and stuff like that. But one thing that I would definitely do if you're doing acoustic cover songs, I'm guessing you're doing this already, but I would make sure that you are, without question, I would make sure that you are, hopping on trends when you can. And you got to make sure, man, like with music, you have to make sure that the covers that you're doing are awesome, right? Because, and I'm sure they are. I mean, if you're putting them up on YouTube, I'm guessing that, your skills are good enough to where you're like, yeah, this is something that, like I'm good at this. That's why I'm putting them up on YouTube. But try to, in addition to making them awesome, try to think of stuff that's a little bit outside the box too. One thing that grabbed my attention here is you said you do different instruments. So you might be able to leverage that. So for example, let's say that a song comes out. Hey, my thing's crooked again. Great. Let's say that a new song comes out and it's something popular that you think would make a cool, like, acoustic cover. If everybody's doing like acoustic guitar, then do something else. Like use a different instrument that's like a little bit more like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I can't remember the exact instrument, but it's this like instrument that I've only seen this instrument like a few times, just even on the internet, but it's basically like this big like bowl type thing, but it's like a covered bowl. And then it's got like these different like pad type things on it, but it's like, it's not electronic in any way, but it's like just this big thing. And a person did, was it a Star Wars? I can't remember exactly what they did with it, but this video was just crushed in views just because the instrument itself was weird. And, you know, the way that they framed the video around the song that they were making was interesting. And that got a lot of people to click on it. And it was cool. Like they nailed it in terms of, you know, how it sounded. And it was just a cool thing. So, you know, when you are, you know, making music content, it's important to make sure that you're just trying to think like, hey, this, you know, this is what's going on in the world in terms of, you know, the songs people are putting out or whatever, like, you know, what type of really unique creative approaches can I take to this? And how can I demonstrate that through it's called the hang drum, says Bill here. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. So yeah, it's the hang drum, I guess is what that's called. But basically, you know, with that, like you just want to think like, you know, what angles can I take with this to make some like really unique stuff that stands out against, you know, because tons of people have like electric guitars or acoustic guitars. So, you know, that will come down to, you know, you just like blowing people away with your content, a lot of people sharing it. And you might even want to mention that in your videos. So like for the people that do watch your videos, mention at the end, instead of trying to get them to subscribe and like it and all that, be like, hey, if you enjoyed this, you know, share it with, you know, with somebody that you care about. And then, you know, have that as your call to action to try to get people to share it versus getting people to subscribe or like the content. Because if you can do that and you can start having that happening with a lot of people, then YouTube will also start showing that video to more people because because that video is bringing people on platform. So, you know, start thinking of those types of things. Let's see here. So the Eternal Samurai says, hey, Nick, I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers. High five, fist bump to you. Nice work. Says, but I want to ask, how can I make YouTube a more personal and enjoyable experience? I feel like that I always have to cater to my audience. Personal videos don't perform as well. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? So when it comes to having the, you know, personal and enjoyable experience, like the enjoyable thing, that should be built in. But in terms of like the personal experience, in terms of people responding to your personal stuff, like that's something you can't like force, right? So what you have there is you have content on your channel that performs higher than the content that you make that's more personal related. So if you want to have, you know, more people respond to your personal stuff, then, you know, you're going to have to cater that a little bit, which is not what you want to do. So because of that, just understand that when you publish that personal stuff, that it's just not going to perform as well. Like I have videos on my channel that I know when I publish this, it's not going to perform that well, or it's not going to perform that well out of the gate, one of the two. But I'm putting this out there because people need to hear it, or this is information that I want to share, or I want to show people this, or whatever the thing happens to be, even though I know that it's not going to be, you know, like my highest performing video out of the last 10, as an example. I know, hey, this video is probably going to slide in at like a 7, maybe an 8, but you know what? I'm doing it anyway. So that's kind of the, you know, that's kind of the approach, because when it comes to, you know, publishing content, you know, you do want to add, you know, some of that personal stuff as well, because that's the stuff that, you know, helps people connect with you. So, you know, adding that type of thing can be great, but just understand that when you publish that content, while you're building that audience of people that dig that stuff, you know, it might underperform compared to the other content. Holy cow, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, super special guest today, Cody Warner. What is up, my man?
What is up, Nick? How's it going, man?
It's been a while, man. How are you?
Yeah, I see the link when you send out the link. I see the link, and every time I'm just like, dang it, I'm doing this or I'm doing that or whatever. And right now I'm just in the office alone, and I'm like, I'm hopping in. I'm hopping in right now. That's what's going on. Yeah, what's going on with you, man?
Nice, dude, man. I'm doing awesome, man. How's life treating you over there? Yeah, I'm just enjoying myself, man. Still, you know, doing the thing. Still in Thailand, you know. Man, just doing the thing. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, stuff's good here. I mean, everything with like case wise and all of the stuff is a little bit disheartening still here, you know, in terms of like you know, getting out and about and collabs and all the stuff that I love to do. But no, my family's healthy, and I'm trying to have adventures and like do fun stuff and make cool videos. So it's all good.
Good. Man, it's awesome. Awesome to see you here. Hey, man, you want to help me answer some YouTube questions?
Yeah.
So here's one that you're really good at. We just had one here. And this is something that you're really good at, is making that, you know, that connection with the people that watch your videos. Like, you know, for those of you that don't know, if you haven't watched, you know, Cody's videos before, like he's excellent at, you know, at just, you know, like when you watch his videos, you feel like a buddy that he shared the video with. Right. So it's not like his stuff isn't like, hey, I'm just trying to like throw stuff at you. When you watch his content, like you feel like, hey, he's talking to me. Like this is, you know, like we're buddies and he sent me this video. Like that's the vibe that you get from his content. But what this person, the Eternal Samurai, asked was, they're getting close to 1,000 subscribers, but they want to know how to make YouTube a more personal and enjoyable experience. They said that they feel like they always have to cater to their audience, and that personal videos don't perform as well.
Right. And like, you know, like Nick was saying, like, I was listening to that conversation, and you know, that is in large part just like the nature of the beast, right? Like people, there's that saying that goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. On YouTube, it's actually a little bit flipped. Like people don't care about your personal life, about, you know, your family, or like your crazy, weird niche hobbies that, you know, your channel isn't about, but like something that you're interested in. You just want to share it. Like I get that, wanting to make videos about stuff that you love and just share that with the people who watch your videos, but then being discouraged when they don't see them, you know, it doesn't get pushed up in the algorithm. It doesn't get like served to all of your subscribers. Like I totally, like I've been there thousands of, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of times. And yeah, and so I get that. But I think the first step is to kind of just like step back and be like, don't take it personally. Like it's just confusing for a viewer to see you talking about something that they're not used to you talking about, you know? So like, and when there's a YouTube channel, just like human nature to like, we see a YouTube channel, we see the person on that channel, and we kind of put them in a category. And then it's like when you meet somebody who you know from school, but like you meet them at like an underground rave, and you're like, bro, like I thought that you were like this grade A student. Like, what are you doing at this underground rave? This is crazy.
As you know, laying on the floor, rubbing a pillow on their face.
right. You know, so
on their face, like, oh man, I didn't think I'd see you here. So why?
No, sorry. Yeah. No, how's algebra treating you? Yeah. So don't take it personally. Just know that you know, we're all allowed to have our own interesting hobbies and stuff, and like the fact that people don't yet want to know about that side of your life, that's totally fine. Like that's normal. And then the second thing is just continue to grow and build. And, you know, hopefully you're at least still semi-interested in like what the target of your channel is, like the stuff that you feel like you're making that caters to the audience. Hopefully you're still at least semi-interested in that. Continue to dive in there, continue to like try to present those topics in interesting ways, in ways that feel exciting to you and do feel a little bit more personal, and just continue to grow and know that at some point, you know, at least a percentage of the people who are subscribed to you, the people who are watching your videos, are gonna want to know all of the other aspects of your life. Like they'll just get interested in you as a person at some point. And the truth is, like, even now that is true. I'm not sure how the percentages would work out, but even now, probably 5, 10, 15, 20% of the people who watch your videos would be interested in that sort of content. It's just you're not going to see the same amount of views that you see on your normal stuff on that stuff, and that's totally fine. You know. Last thing I'll say is for a lot of those like a lot of those topics that like I don't feel like they really fit into my YouTube channel. But I really want to make a video about it, or I feel like I have something to share that is important. I'll just take those videos, I'll turn my camera sideways, and I'll put them on Instagram Reels or TikTok, you know? And I just use those two platforms as like, I'm really into working out, but like no one on my YouTube channel cares about my workouts. But on Instagram, I feel like it's a place where I can post me working out and workout stuff and like, and be fine with it. Same thing with TikTok is like a whole different world, because really there is like the niche thing that happens on TikTok, but anybody in any niche, I think, can make a good video on TikTok and have it just get blasted out to the audience that it's meant for, like way more easily than we can do on YouTube or Instagram. So you might even get like millions of views on a video that, is way super off of what you do on YouTube, but is super on point for the audience that you're targeting at TikTok. So those are some of my thoughts. Don't be discouraged. Keep going, keep growing. Know that in the future, people will be more interested in that more well-rounded, like all around stuff, and use other platforms to kind of scratch that itch right now.
Yeah, and with that too, you know, like right now you're just crossing or getting close to 1,000 subscribers. But another thing that you can leverage in that situation on YouTube specifically as well is stories. So, you know, like YouTube stories, it's a little bit of a different experience also. So you can also use that as a way to just show behind the scenes stuff like, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is, you know, what, you know, hey, we're at this restaurant, you know, we're doing this type of thing, you know, to where you can use that as an additional tool to just show things that wouldn't necessarily be a great fit in terms of video content or live streaming content on your channel. And another thing as well, on the personal side is live streaming is great for that. So, you know, with live streaming, if you can think of, you know, the unique value that you can offer to your audience through live streaming, one awesome thing about live streaming is that, you know, you have no choice but to like be authentic. And, you know, every now and then you'll just talk about random things and stuff like that in your live stream. And those can also be things that are, you know, just kind of like your personal opinions on stuff and things like that. And those types of things are what help people identify that like, hey, they think like I do, or they're the same type of person, or they care about, you know, the same things I do, that kind of stuff as well. So just thinking of it from that perspective of, you know, like once I get stories, I'm going to start using stories to, you know, let people know, you know, more about my personality and things like that as well, or live streaming or something like that. Really quick, Bill Dubé, thank you for the super chat. Miss Lighty Daycare Marketing says, hola, Nick, hola. Says, I really need your help because I stream live and some people are not able to hear the audio. I've checked on my phone and computers and the sound is streaming great. So if you hear it coming through great, then it's fine. So sometimes you'll have trolls that will come in. It happens here too, during this stream. So sometimes you'll have trolls come in and they'll just keep going like, hey, no audio, no audio, no audio, for the sake of, you know, just kind of throwing you off during your stream. Sometimes your audio is broken and you got to fix it. But if you test it and you can hear it coming through okay, then you should be fine. So in that case, you're probably okay. Just make sure that you're testing it on like something different. So for example, if you're streaming through your computer, then test it like on your phone, for example, to make sure that it's coming through the stream and that you're not actually feeding it back through the computer, as an example. So let's see here. Shut Up and React says, I've been following your advice since 200 subs, now at 11,000 plus. Thank you. High five and fist bump to you. Nice work, guys. React on that one. Love those when those come in. So let's see here. So let's see here. Fly Ride says that was a Cody video wrapped up in a Nick stream. So let's see here. So next up on our list, I'm going to hop back into the form here. So this one's coming from AR Knight, and they do gaming content. The goal of the channel is to make people smile. Awesome goal, right? Can't go wrong with that one. The question is, why don't I get more views on my stream/videos? Cody, from your experience, when people don't get views on their videos, they don't get views on their live streams or any of the stuff that they're doing, what does that typically come down to? Because I always have my version of that that I share during the stream. So like, what does that typically come down to from your experience?
I mean,
or you can pass.
No, again, I just want to think of like the best way to frame it, because it's for me, I always try to address a question like this from like the emotional health of the creator first, right? So again, do not take it personally if you're not getting views or watches or followers or subscribes or any of that stuff. Like views and what people like personally think about you are just like two separate things. All right. And we need to do a better job as creators of just keeping them separate. Especially like as new generations start coming into the fray here, and like it's really easy to have a big part of our identity wrapped up in like how many views are we getting, how many likes are we getting, why are my friends getting internet famous and I'm not, and like we just need to do a really good job of like keeping that on the forefront, talking about it, and trying to separate those things, because you know, to get your identity wrapped up in some of this stuff, it can be really, really detrimental. So first things first, don't take it personally. You know, second thing is probably you just haven't put in enough time. Like, and this is a tough way to answer it, because like, who knows, maybe you've been doing this for 10 years and like, you're not seeing the results that you want to see. And that can be tough. But for me, like I was making videos for quite a long time, maybe like 11 years before I found YouTube, and then found an audience on YouTube, and then started to get some traction on YouTube, and then started to grow the channel. And then, you know, like it just takes a really long time. It takes a crazy number of reps to start to see results. And so that's why I really try to frame things as, let's not look at the metrics. Like the metrics are like a secondary assessment. First thing that we need to be looking at is our own growth as a video creator, as a live streamer, a gamer, or whatever you're doing. Like, what are the metric? What are the things, the goals that you have complete control over? Like, did I make 2 videos this week? Did I watch the content of, did I learn for an hour this week about how to grow myself personally as a video creator or whatever? Like the stuff that you can completely control. So you're checking those boxes. Those are called lead measures, like stuff that you actually have control over. And then the lag measures, the stuff like follows and likes and streams and stuff, that stuff will all come after you start nailing, and finding your key demographic, and you start honing your stories down, and you start speaking more concisely, and you start speaking more directly, and the retention's not falling off, and like all the stuff starts happening. When that all starts to happen, and that's stuff that you can control, that's when the views and follows and subscribes start coming, So just keep your head in the game, to quote, I think, High School Musical, and keep going, and try to get yourself in environments and situations like this, with like-minded people here in the chat, and some of the Facebook groups that Nick was mentioning earlier, like-minded people who just, you're kicking around ideas, and we're all treading water here, and every once in a while one of us like blasts off, and it's amazing, and we can root for each other. Like, stay in these environments that don't keep you focused so much on metrics, more focused on growth, on personal growth.
Yeah, and with that, one of the things that I want to highlight is the reps. You talked about, kind of putting in the reps, and I think that's a really important part, and it's tough because, another thing that you mentioned is, like, hey, why are my friends getting like internet famous? I'm not, like that kind of stuff. And like when you're putting in the reps, like what that basically means is that you're going through the process of, creating videos on a regular basis, live streaming on a regular basis, reassessing. Like, okay, this is what I did. How do people respond to this? How can I make this better? How can I take the new stuff that I've learned this week and apply it to the new content that I'm putting out? And you just kind of keep rinsing and repeating that process as you go through the learning curve. And then like will come a point, as long as you keep assessing, improving, and doing the reps, like Cody was talking about, there will come a point to where you're like, hey, people are starting to watch my videos more. People are starting to click on my videos more. People are starting to leave some comments on my channel. I'm getting, more likes now. People are sharing my content. Wow, this is great. And then, you'll start noticing these things, picking up over time as you continue putting in the reps in terms of, publish, assess, publish, assess, publish, assess. If you just keep doing that, then that'll put you back on the right track. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have another internet superstar coming in. Benji Travis in the house. What is up, Benji?
Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me clearly?
I hear you like you're coming. If you say that hearing you clearly is like talking through a Pringles can, then yeah, you sound great.
It sounds like your camera mic instead of your
really?
podcasting mic.
Yeah, it's not coming through your shirt.
So we gotta fix that. Hold on a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I had an intro made for Benji. It's not finished yet. So basically, Cody, what I've been doing, man, is basically like for these live streams. So like when people come on a regular basis, I create all these like crazy intros for them. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's all kinds of fun. So for example, like this is Roberto's, because you know how he's like Star Wars, and he's like heavily on the dark side and all that. Like this is Roberto's.
At last, the Sith Lord of YouTube.
Is it clear now? Can you hear me?
No. Nope. Yeah, I mean I can hear you, but you sound like you're coming through a Pringles can, so it's definitely picking up the wrong mic. Yeah. But yeah, so I make these intros. So like Benji's been coming on, and I've been like, I'm making you one. But I got the voiceover back. I just didn't have time to put all the music and sound effects and all that.
I love that you're doing that, man. That's so cool.
Just makes it fun, It makes it a little bit more entertaining. So really quick, Vaughn Sanders. See, I should have. That's what I get for messing around.
No, it's good. Everyone loves it.
Stay focused. Yeah. So let's see here. So Von Sanders.
Welcome to the Nimminati.
Make sure next time you get the chance, go to nimminvip.com. It's going to redirect you to our members only Facebook group. Fill out all the information on the way in. And then right after this live stream, I'll be going through and adding you to the group. But just make sure you fill out everything on the way in, because that's how I verify that you're a member on the way in.
Pringles
And,
can still?
No, sounding so crisp and clean,
Yeah,
bro. Like you upgraded to Doritos.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to tell you, the reason I wanted to come on was a really important question for Cody.
No way.
Did you used to go to underground raves?
Oh man, I'm so. I feel like I released a secret. I've literally never been to a rave.
I was like, wow, that's a very random example.
Right.
But yeah,
I was just trying to think of the opposite of school, and that was what popped into my head. So
it's good to see it, Cody.
Good to see you.
So Benji, man, how's life? How's everything? You doing well?
Very good. I got a little 30-minute Peloton session, so pretty amped up for the weekend. I'll obviously listen to your live stream, and it's interesting. I want to tell you, Nick, we wrote the second edition of YouTube Secrets, and I couldn't not add you when we talk about live streaming, because you are truly the GOAT. And there's a section in there where I added you. And so anyways, you've done a lot for me in this community. I want to thank you. And so I'm excited to be on here today.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you for that, Benji. Super humbled by that. So thank you very much, and excited to be a part of that as well. So thank you very much.
For sure. You know, one thing I want to add, Nick, just jumping right back into it. There was a question about not being able to add your personality. You know, my wife and I were vloggers, as you already know, and we still vlog 5 times a week, but it happened after Judy built out her niche, built out her community, and then she started a secondary channel. So a lot of YouTubers have seen what we've done, and they've also wanted to put out their personality through vlogs, and they always aspire. There's one YouTuber I remember back in the day was blowing up on Snapchat and Instagram stories. And they said, yeah, you know, I still want to have a vlog. It's like, why do you feel like you need a vlog? You have your stories, you have your Snapchat. That basically is a vlog. That's a way to connect with your audience. And the reason I bring this up is, and we talk about this in the second edition, YouTube stories. If you have YouTube stories, you should be throwing up all that testing, experimental, personal stuff up there, because if you want to stay on YouTube, obviously I totally agree with what Cody said, making Instagram content, TikTok content, but YouTube stories, I think it lives outside of your niche, and it is more the personal side of you. Like, there's a lot more flexibility there because people aren't getting that notification in their feed the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Absolutely. And, you know, another thing too, is that also, like, for somebody that wants to, you know, share the personality side, since stories do get in front of non-subscribers, just like they get in front of subscribers, that's also a great way to build that side of your audience as well. So that when you do sprinkle out that content, if you do decide to, you know, put that content on your channel, that, you know, that you've actually, you know, grown some of that audience through the stories that you're putting out too.
And so one more thing I want to add there, Nick, and this is one of the thesis of the second edition. You know, we probably switched up 20 to 30%, but one big change was, if you want to grow on YouTube, you need to grow on YouTube. And there's so many new tools. You know, I mean, like, when we first started, there wasn't stories. There definitely wasn't shorts. How many different monetization tools? And the one thing that's not changed, ironically, that makes YouTube still relevant is the algorithm and search. It's so powerful that I believe you can start second channels now, and it's not going to be detrimental to your time and efforts, because the algorithm just knows. People are starting second short channels, and the audience are getting fed that content. As long as you use the right tags, you know, you promote your own content. It's kind of crazy. I mean, you don't have to do as much work anymore. And that's what's awesome, I think, about, like, I don't know, I call it like Generation 3 YouTube now.
Yeah, and especially with shorts too. Like, an awesome thing there is that from a competition perspective. Like, of course, there's competition there, but just in terms of historically. So, like currently when you publish a video on YouTube, because YouTube still shows videos that were published 10 years ago. So, like when you publish a video right now, you're competing with like a ginormous archive of content on YouTube.
Yeah.
When you publish a short, like that whole thing is just getting started. I mean, you have some stuff that might've been shorter, but it wasn't really intended for that. But you're really only competing with stuff that's just being uploaded, within the last, little bit of time since they've been letting shorts out.
Another thing I'm seeing with shorts too is, with shorts, you get like 3 different results in your feed, right? Because when you go to shorts, a vertical video. So they're saying, I've seen some of the creators I follow who are short creators, they will fill 2 of the 3 spots. So not only are you getting artificially more exposure because they're really just stuffing it in front of you, you could potentially demand a lot more attention than you think. And that's why anytime a platform, offers a new tool, you should definitely leverage it, because they're really artificially trying to promote that function or that tool.
My E-Class and Bytes got approved for the YouTube Partner Program. High five, fist bump to you. Nice work on that one. Step 1, complete, right? Milestone 1, complete. Mission 1, complete. Actually, that might be like milestone 2, I guess, because you get that first 100, you get that, that custom URL, and then now you got into the partner program. So congratulations to you on that. Okay, so next question that we have here. Okay, let's talk about this. So I made a video, guys, the other day called, I think it's like 7 myths about YouTube, and one of those myths is the one that's on the screen right now about it doesn't seem like the algorithm shows smaller channels. So what are your thoughts on YouTube showing the content of smaller channels on YouTube?
My personal opinion is they do try to bring up new creators. I've actually heard this from people that work at YouTube. They are trying to find these small creators because what they realize is if they can help you get going, that's like a whole nother potential, like hours and hours and hours of watch time from you and the audience you're going to be building. So they do try to bring up new creators. And then 2, it's in YouTube's best interests, if you are a great content creator, to put your content in front of people, because ultimately what YouTube wants is maximum amount of watch time, maximum amounts of minutes on the platform. So this is why actually the size of your channel is really arbitrary to the quality of your content. So that's my personal opinion.
Cody, thoughts? Can't hear you. Your mic is off.
Yeah, I'm muted. Sorry about that. Sorry. I think that when you have a big channel, when you got a bunch of subscribers, I think YouTube just knows they have a better idea of who you are as a channel and a better idea of which of your subscribers are gonna like the piece of content that you just put out. So you're gonna see larger channels, their view velocity is gonna seem greater, right? Because YouTube didn't have to figure out what is this video, who is this person, and who should we show it to. What you're gonna see on smaller channels and on good pieces of YouTube content that get released and have like 0 view velocity or nothing, but it's a good piece of content, right? And it's like targeted, and there's an audience for it. There's definitely an audience for it, and they got their title on point. They got their thumbnail on point. You click that thing and you can't click away from it for the first 8 minutes of the video because it's amazing. What you're gonna see is over time, at some point, that video is gonna hit in the algorithm and it's gonna get served to the people who need to see it, who wanna see it, who also don't click away for 8 minutes. Like, it's just, you're not gonna see the same sort of like crazy overnight growth as you see on a larger channel. But if you're making a good piece of content with a crazy awesome thumbnail, with a crazy click-through rate, and audience retention on that thing is solid, like it's gonna hit at some point in the future. So I don't know, it doesn't directly answer the question, but yeah, if you make good stuff that, and I don't mean good stuff in like artistically, all the stuff on YouTube is good because it's self-expression. It's like you took something from inside your head and you put it out in the world. Like, it's good in the personal growth way, Again, I'm trying to separate that from if you make stuff that has a great click-through rate, has a great thumbnail, has a great title, and has amazing audience retention, it will find views at some point in its life on YouTube.
Yeah, and another perspective. This is the way I framed it in the video. Is like, let's say that you have 100 subscribers on your YouTube channel, and you are making the same exact video as somebody that has 100,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. At the time of publish, the likelihood of the 100,000 subscriber channel having a better start, like let's say you both publish them at the same moment, that 100,000 subscriber channel right out of the gate, because YouTube has so much data on their channel, like Cody was talking about, they have so much data in terms of, you know, the people that typically respond to content on the channel, things like that. So the amount of people that are likely to see that video at the time of publish is going to be, you know, extremely high. That does not guarantee, though, that they're going to respond positively to that content. It just means that there's going to be more people that see it at the time of publish. Now, if people respond like okay to that, but it's not great, then it'll still, you know, get views over time, but it's not going to end up being like a superstar piece of content for that channel. However, the channel that had 100 subscribers that published the same video or similar video, with that one, they might have a slow start out of the gate. However, if YouTube starts showing that to people like Cody was talking about, and people are like clicking on it a lot, they're watching it for a longer period of time, they're sharing it with people, and they're just having all of these positive signals coming in, 6 months down the road, that video on that 100 subscriber channel might end up having way more views than the video on the 100,000 subscriber channel, because it's a better piece of content. And even though, you know, the two people, you know, might have put the same amount of effort into it, or maybe the 100,000 subscriber put less effort, and that's why it's not doing as good. But, you know, you have, you know, essentially the same piece of content, but if people respond to that video that's on the 100 subscriber channel at a higher rate, then over time, that video is going to end up doing better than the video on the 100,000 subscriber channel. I've got 800,000 subscribers on my channel, and I have a video on my channel that I published over a month ago that still doesn't have 10,000 views on it. And it's because topically, it's not a great fit for you. In terms of the packaging, I didn't do a great job. The retention on it isn't fantastic. Like, it'll do okay in search over time. It continues to get views every day and all of that. But if somebody on a channel that was just a little bit more specific in terms of the audience, but they're a much smaller channel, like even one of you, you know, like if you have like 1,000 subscribers on your channel, if you publish that same video, there's a really good chance that your video is going to end up outperforming mine, just because, you know, mine it wasn't a great video, and I'm you know, and I have to own that when it doesn't do well, right? But, you know, because of that, even though, you know, the channel's bigger, you know, there's going to be much smaller channels that have made a very similar video that are going to end up doing better. So,
I wanted
to
say one more thing, Nick, if you don't mind, to Luke Town. Two things, and it's going to come, this is totally out of left field compared to what we all just said. Number one, everyone starts from zero. Everyone's a small channel once, right? And two, no channel that's been successful ever worried about being a small channel. They focus on making quality content. And if you do that over and over, I use it like a very extreme analogy. Could you imagine, Nick, if Marvel decided to put out Avengers 4 or whatever, right, on a completely no-name channel with 0 subscribers? YouTube will find a way to get views on that video. Why? Because it's so amazing. It's so entertaining. Initially, guess what? That channel might not be aligned with the Marvel fans, but you know what? If there's the right tags and right things, Marvel fans will get a chance to see it. Maybe only 100 people, maybe only 10 people. But those 10 people, if they're Marvel fans, they're going to watch every single minute. And those 10 people will turn into 100 people, will turn into 1,000. So this is why I really want to harp on this idea of like, it doesn't matter what size your channel is. Nick brought up a great example. There's plenty of channels that have millions of subscribers that get puny amounts of views compared to that. It all is based off of the quality of the video, and does it keep people's attention and ultimately keep them on the platform. If you can do that successfully, actually the subscribers, all that doesn't matter. You'll just get views, and views. And you just have to do it consistently.
Another example in our space, right? So, for example, there's a channel that is relatively new. I mean, the channel's been there for a while, but he's like, you know, moving hard into the YouTube space. But it's called Film Booth. He puts out amazing content. It's all, storytelling based content. My content, it's more just like direct informational content. Like I just want to get you to the stuff. But his actually, entertains you in a massive way as he's sharing the information as well. And people are responding seriously to that content. So the channel is much smaller than mine, but some of his videos, because he's so good at what he does, some of his videos are just blowing me out of the water. So, so because of that, it's just important to know that, the actual channel size initially, sure, it matters. But in terms of long-term video performance, there's no bearing on, or there's no importance in terms of channel size when it comes to long-term performance of a video on YouTube.
Oh, that's a great channel.
So I think we've beat that horse pretty severely. so we'll grab another one here. So let's see here. Jeffrey W. says, I'm having a hard time recovering from a lingering sickness. What do you do to rebound and get back on track creating content again? I'm going to be upfront. So these two gentlemen here on the screen are way more into the fitness side of things than I am. So they probably have much more experience on this one than I do. So take it away, fellas.
Cody.
I mean, it's tough. I think I don't know, I don't know the details of what you're struggling with or were struggling with or getting over, and at what stage you are in getting over and all that stuff. So first thing is just like, be patient with yourself, and sometimes trying to push it is not the proper way to get back into it. It's more about just taking your time and finding a new pace and what's good for you. But for me, like, when I get in a slump or I had COVID at the end of or earlier this year. And so I did stop making videos for about a week while I was in like isolation. For me, like the thing that helped was to get back in once I was healed and my isolation time was over, get back into the routine of stuff that like energizes me. So for me, that is working out and drinking coffee and kind of being out in a safe way, but out and about and just finding stuff that is around me that's interesting to me and that kind of motivates me to jot down a bunch of ideas and then execute on one of them. So getting back in those kind of energizing routines and habits, I think is a big thing for me.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and acknowledge the fact that I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going through sickness, COVID-19, all these kinds of things. And it makes me think of one time I wasn't sick, but I hurt myself. So I did one of these crazy races. I forget what it's called. It's like the Spartan Warrior. And I did it for the very first time, right? With no training. I just signed up literally that week and I decided to do the extreme one, right? And I remember going into the little huddle with all the guys at the beginning. We're like the first ones to get on the course. And these guys are screaming chants. It's like they have been doing this for decades or whatever. And I was like, oh, I am totally out of my league. Now, I pride myself on being healthy and, having endurance, but I was obviously not supposed to be there. Anyways, halfway through, I fell off of one of the obstacles and I broke my collarbone in like 9 different pieces. Okay. And I tried to like tough it out and run or whatever. Anyway, so I had to have surgery on my collarbone. I still have literally like screws and nails and framing all in there. Sometimes gives me pain. But I remember during the recovery, obviously it couldn't work out and I was definitely a little depressed. And the way I got through that wasn't going back to running half marathons and going back into the gym. I just started walking on a treadmill, not even incline, just slowly walking. And so over time, I did incline. I do all that stuff. And the reason I bring that up is you don't have to jump right back into it. You don't have to be 100%. You don't have to be like on it. You can start little steps, little baby steps, little by little over time. And so that's what I did. And anybody going through hardship or sickness or injury, I think that would be more realistic for people to know that you can do it slowly and gradually. And that is probably more realistic for most people because I know David Goggins would have probably finished that Spartan race with a broken collarbone, but I'm not like that. I live like 30 seconds into me trying, I was like, I'm done. I think I broke my collarbone. I was out of there. And yeah, that's how I do it. I focus on where I want to be, but I don't get too hard on myself about the process to get back there.
That's good. And on the mental side too, like same exact thing goes, like mentally, as it does physically is, like when you do find yourself in a hard time or just kind of down in the dumps, just kind of taking those small steps. Like, okay, let's start with like the first hour of the day. Let me not open my phone, or let me start deleting some of these news apps, or, that kind of stuff, to where you just start taking these small steps into the direction that you want to go. Excellent advice, Benji. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I like that too. And I think that goes for not just if you're going through sickness or some kind of injury or whatever. It's like even today, the topic is haters, negativity, and trolling for my broadcast in about less than an hour. And I think that it's a great point. You have to protect your mind, right? So whenever you're going through those hard times, sometimes you do have to turn off the phone. Sometimes you have to get away from the things that are putting those bad thoughts. Because I was going to say a cheesy answer before giving my Spartan race warrior answer. And I do believe it starts with your mind, right? And the thoughts you put into it. And the fact that that person, I forgot, I was hoping to see their name, asked that question means that they might have some doubts. They might have some struggles. And the first thing you need to do is shut whatever off that is putting that negativity into your mind. Because if this is good, the body is good. And if the body and the mind's good, the spirit is good. And I don't know about you, Nick, but like this morning, I wasn't feeling like getting on the Peloton. In fact, I was supposed to run today and do like deadlifts. I was like, I'll just do the Peloton, listen to Nick while I do. I'm going to take it easy. And I threw on some like motivational kind of clips on YouTube. Boom. I'm like in a completely different mindset. I'm turning the red knob. I broke the record of my last time I did. And again, it all started with what I was thinking about. Because before I got on the Peloton, and Nick, I'll give you credit. You probably were helping me get into the mindset too. But that's the point. This is why I like watching people like Nick. This is why I like connecting with people like Cody. Because when you do get the right thoughts into your mind, everything else gets triggered. So, I forget where I was going with that, but that's the point. Yeah. Protect
good
your
stuff.
mind.
Really good stuff. So really quick, I just want to just really fast. So today, for the stream, the top chatters of the stream today have been Albie-tastic in the #1 spot with so far 159 chat messages. So thank you, Albie-tastic, for just your interaction, for being a part and just being so active here. Doug is in the #2 spot with 88. Fit Dad Chris is in the #3 spot with 68. And RR Primetime KD is in the next spot with 46. So I just want to thank you guys just for, for interacting, for being a part of the stream, and just being so interactive here. So I just wanted to just bring some attention to you guys really quick and just say thank you. So as we move on to the next question, we have, excuse me. Hey, Luke Town, our pleasure.
Superchat.
Let's see here. So next up took care of AR Knight. So next up we have SD Huston. SD Huston says they do fiction writing content. The goal of the channel is to establish an author platform, add value to the AuthorTube community. And the question is, one of my best videos includes the month, year, July 2021 of current writing trends on the thumbnail and title. I feel I should eventually change this to the year, or to just the year, as the info source is updated yearly, but when should I make this change? My recommendation is, once the new year flips over, then make the change then. We're already past July. So yeah, since we're already past July, then I would actually just go ahead and make the change now. Because if you're going to keep the 2021 on there, then in that case, I would just take the July off now so that it's still relevant for 2021. Any additional thoughts on that, guys?
I agree.
Okay. Next one that we have here on the list, we have... Aaron, I'm just going to follow Cody around here a little bit. Here, hold on. Let's just watch Cody make coffee.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
That's
what we're going to do is
dope.
I'm actually going to turn on music here, and we're just going to kind of talk in the background, and kind of like
This is like live vlogging. It's like, it's like this.
Yeah,
If I did a live stream of just my life, this is what you'd see a lot. This is coffee cup #2.
Nice. So Benji, do you want to commentate here?
Okay,
So,
yeah.
so-
This kind of reminds me of when you were dancing the other week, Nick. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is what we've got going on today. We got a little bit of silk, milk substitute that's going to go into a drip coffee. oat silk milk.
Yeah, it looks like oat
Yeah.
silk. I'm really
Yep.
liking that. I'm really liking that purple container that's in.
And of course,
it looks like-
Cody's got like the most like magazine-esque kitchen of life.
He does.
Looks like he should be on the Food Network. He's doing the pour from high up to get the air kind of mixed up. And Nick, you take it
Look
from
at
here.
the sip. Look at the sip. Can we just pause for a second? Oh, look at that sip. Oh, that's a great sip right there. That was a fantastic
Did he just
sip.
freeze?
It's so good that it actually froze the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, the camera could not even handle that sip. That was such a good sip. The camera didn't even.
Okay,
yeah, it was fantastic.
I don't know what he's doing, but
I'm killer. Oh, that entire space. Look at that. Gorgeous. Where is that? Is that your house or you somewhere?
Yeah, this is my co-working space. This is my office.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, cool spot. Love that kitchen. Yeah, like Benji was saying, like in terms of like that's like an Instagram kitchen all day long.
Right.
Yeah, it's good.
Right.
Stuff.
I should get into food content and use that more.
Yeah.
At least coffee. Just, every video is just Cody standing there sipping coffee. Yeah, that's good stuff. So, Chatty Cathy says, thanks for giving me videos, live replays to binge during this year. They are a wealth of information. My pleasure. Glad that you are enjoying the content. So, our next question here is from First Class Gamer. And they do a motivation gaming channel. That's cool. That's a unique twist. Says, the Golden channel, behind the controller, we are all the same. This is good. The question, will it affect our growth if I upload content 2 to 3 times a week while streaming 3 to 5 days a week, coming from a gamer channel, but also helpful to any channel as well? If it was me and I was on that channel, because I would need more information in terms of your channel specifically, but if it was me, I would actually just do 1 a day. So I would do, like, if you're going to do 2 to 3 times a week of video content, then I would have those 2 to 3 videos per week that you put out, and then I would live stream on the other days if you're wanting to put out daily content. Reason for that is just to give things a little bit of room to breathe, because you are going to be, that content is all going to be getting shown in different places around YouTube, and the live stream content of course will carry a little bit more weight while you're live compared to the replay and stuff, but you're going to have all this new content going out there. So I would just give each piece of content a little bit of room to breathe, and by room to breathe I just mean do your live stream today, publish a video tomorrow, publish, do the live stream the next day, publish a video, and just kind of get into a rhythm with that, and see how that works out on your channel. And if you find that, like, hey, people aren't responding to any of this stuff, then I would slow down a little bit on the live streaming and go and just kind of let the videos breathe a little bit more and do a little bit less live streaming. That would be my recommendation. Benji?
Yeah, it makes me think of Matt Geelan. He does a lot of research. In fact, he was the first YouTube expert I ever met in 2010. He was working at the MCN that my wife and I were at. And so he's really smart. He understands the algorithm, probably the closest other than like maybe a Daryl Eves. And he actually has a whole video on this. And he actually says like 2 to 3 a week, no matter what it is like a good cadence for YouTube. They like that. But also this is coming from someone that vlogs 5 times a week with my wife, right? I think all of it is it's valid. I think that you want to consider it, but you have to first ask yourself, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Maybe you're just trying to get in the reps. I heard you saying that before I got on, Nick, right? How important the reps are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, even if your reps aren't yielding the results that you want, who knows? I mean, let's just, it's funny you would tell them that, Nick, because let's just bring it back to years ago when you were doing your 6-hour live streams. There was like 100 total people watching back then. I mean, most experts would have said that was a waste of your time. Well, I'd argue long term, actually, it was a great use of your time. And the ROI on that is we can't even see it. I can't even go to people and talk about other YouTube coaches or experts without your name getting brought up. And it's probably because hundreds of hours of their lives was spent watching you and your brother in the early days, just talking it up, right? And I'm still amazed every time. I know that it sounds like I'm stroking your ego, but really 3 hours.
Hey, it feels great though. Keep going. Hey, keep it coming, man.
So,
this is great.
So my point for this person that asked this question, and for anybody, it's like, where are you at right now? If, like, for example, like, by the way, Nick is very thoughtful and he is going to be purposeful with what he's doing on YouTube. But that's because he's in a different season of life right now. where are you? That's the question, really. And maybe, okay, I'm not going to say about your content, but maybe generally speaking, your content sucks right now. Well, to get out of suck, you have to practice. You have to get better and improve. And so there's no way around that. And I think that I know it's getting kind of philosophical, but I'm on this kick right now of like, just do it. Just do it until it works. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to stop doing the stuff that doesn't work, and you're going to double down and triple down on what is working. And that's what being a YouTuber is all about. And so I think in the beginning, especially if you don't know, then you just got to try all these different things. You know, one of the downsides of reading my book or listening to different people, there's a million options of what you can do. Just figure out the one that fits for you. I should make that tag.
Yeah, and with that too, you know, the important thing that he mentioned there is like your goals. So it's like, you know, like if your goal is like, you know, hey, I just want to do all of this content so I can get better at live streaming, I can get better at making videos and all that, then, you know, then go for it and go all in. And one thing to make sure that you're keeping in mind though is when you're just constantly in the state of making, you'll get really good at making. But with YouTube, you have to balance that making with making plus making in a way that people will respond to, if and only if you're like, hey, I'm trying to grow this channel and I'm trying to get attention to the channel. Like, because some people will do YouTube and they're just focused on making, and that's awesome too. But for the people that are like, hey, I also want to grow this channel and I want to grow it, you know, like as fast as I possibly can, then in that case, you know, make as much as you can, but also make sure that you're giving yourself some time to be able to go in and actually check how some of that stuff is performing, so that you can cater some of your making when you need to, in order to, you know, make your videos perform better. So, you know, just keep that in mind. So don't make so much that you're not giving yourself enough time to analyze what it is that you're doing, unless it's already working. So if you're like, hey, I'm making like crazy and people are loving it, then by all means, you know, just keep walking down that road, because you're doing the thing. Shelly, what's up? Nice to see you hanging out here in the stream today. Hope that you are doing awesome. Shelly Saves. So let's see here, as we continue on, next question that we have here on the list, you know, let's just pull this one from the chat. So if you have a question for, you know, we've got Cody on here, we've got Benji on here. If you've got a question about what it is that you're doing on YouTube, just put a Q in front of your question, drop it in the chat right now, and we'll just start pulling, you know, some random ones out of the chat here. So we're going to do just a few more here before we wrap the stream up. So here we go. Here's the first one. It says getting to space. First off, it's a cool channel name. Like, you're trying to get to space. That's pretty cool. Some of my latest videos are taking off, which is nice. How can I analyze them to find out what is working? Either one of you guys, go.
Okay, so first off, are they getting views, right? So one of the ways I audit a channel is I'm looking at the last 6 months and what is most popular. I am looking at how many views they get and why they got views. Go to the analytics, go to the audience retention area, and literally use the function where you can sift through where like there's the highest amount of attention, and ask yourself, why are people watching this? And then the second question is, wherever there's a drop off, ask yourself, why are they dropping off? And this is a very simple thing that has led to channels getting billions of views. I think about even vlogs. Okay, vlogging is very difficult, okay? Because you have to first have an audience, typically, and then they'll watch your vlogs. But if you're just starting off vlogging, then you're proving your personality to people, and it's like an uphill battle. But there is a channel called J House Vlogs that I met back in 2015. Less than 5,000 subscribers. They came to an event in Seattle called Vlogger Fair. And I remember he was like asking me all these questions. And so what he would do with his family is he'd vlog. And so sometimes they're 20 minutes. And he would go in every single night into his audience retention graph, and he would see where the drop-offs were. And whatever they were vlogging about, whatever they were talking about, if it didn't keep their interest, he just never vlogged that again in the future. So little by little, he was shrinking down his vlogs from 20 minutes to 18 minutes, 10 minutes. And I think he got it down to like 7 or 8 minutes. Long story short, he hit 1 billion views in a matter of like half the time my wife and I did. Multiple millions of subscribers. He has videos that are like 10, 20, 30 million views. And it was all this practice of obsessing over what people didn't care about, what they cared about most, and just focusing on that. And so none of that had to do with what he was vlogging. It was about what the viewers were voting on. So that's I don't know if that was, I was trying to read the question as like I was thinking about it. Was that correct? Was I going in the right direction, Nick?
Absolutely. And one thing with J House Vlogs as well, for those of you that are familiar when the whole COPPA thing went down, is he actually kind of led the charge in terms of, content creators, bringing attention to that whole, to that whole thing. He actually kind of led the charge on that, which is pretty awesome. But, another thing that you want to do is when you're analyzing your videos and figuring out, what's working and what's not, is you want to look at where your views are coming from. So for example, like if you notice that, hey, a lot of my views are coming from YouTube search, then in that case, you can do two things. One, you can lean really hard into YouTube search because you're good at search traffic. Or two, you can look at that as okay, well, I'm getting a lot of views from YouTube search. I wonder why I'm not getting as many views from browse and suggested. So that could come down to maybe you're using, just like an exact keyword phrase, but you're not adding anything additional that's compelling to it. And because of that, it's just not as attractive when somebody sees it on a homepage. Because, one of the ways that I like to frame this one is, when people are going and they're looking for something in YouTube search, it's kind of easy because then in that case, they're actually looking for the content that you make. The challenge comes from when you are having your content presented on somebody's homepage or recommended next to another piece of content, and they're not expecting to watch it. They're not looking for it. They didn't have any intention on watching the type of content that you're making at that moment in time, but YouTube is presenting it to them, but you still have to be able to grab their attention there. So when you go into your traffic sources and you figure out where your traffic's coming from, then you can use that information to make future choices and to just kind of reanalyze what it is that you're doing. So you want to make sure that you're doing that in addition to looking at your retention, like Benji was talking about, and just kind of thinking like, is there anywhere where I can trim the fat? Is there anything to where I'm adding to this video? People aren't responding to it. People are leaving during these parts of the videos, to where you can start trimming that stuff out for future content and making sure that you are just paying attention to those sorts of things. Also trying to get an idea of what performance looks like on your channel so you can make changes when need be. So like, for example, if you notice, okay, by the time when I publish this video, by the time I have 100,000 impressions, typically my videos that perform well usually look like this in terms of the numbers that I have on them, in terms of my click-through rate, those sorts of things. Then one of the things that will help you with is when you are publishing a piece of content, if you hit those marks, you're like, wow, this is really low compared to like everything else is fine, but like my click-through rate is just abysmal on this coming from home pages, for example. Then in that case, you might want to go in and make a change to your thumbnail. You might want to just, make a change to your title or just repackage the whole thing. So, by starting to understand what performance looks like on your channel, it can also kind of help you notice things like that when, things aren't going according to plan, so to speak. So any additional thoughts on that, Cody? No? Okay. So on that note, I want to thank Cody and Benji for coming on the stream today. Thanks, fellas, for coming on here and sharing your knowledge and just for, hanging out. Super, super excited to see both you guys today. And for everybody that's been hanging out in the chat today, thank you so much for, hanging out in the chat. I hope that you learned something today. And just as a heads up too, like I know a lot of you are just getting started on your YouTube channels. And I know that during these live streams, there's tons of stuff that you're getting thrown at you in terms of information about YouTube. And, if you're just getting started, some of it can be overwhelming. And, when it is, that can kind of, put you in a situation to where you kind of have that analysis paralysis type of thing going on. So what I encourage you to do is, over the course of, this week, instead of trying to think like, hey, I got to do all of this stuff, just pick like a thing or two and just focus on, trying to better understand or better apply a thing or two so that, so that you can get really good at that thing or just get a deeper understanding of that thing before you move on and, try to conquer all of the things. Right. So, it's kind of like the ideas that they were talking about before in terms of like, getting your mind state better, right? In terms of you do those small steps or getting, your fitness better or getting, basically taking care of your health and getting all that stuff better, you take those small steps. YouTube's the same exact way. As you start learning these things and you start applying these things one by one to your channel, eventually that leads to the road to where you're, to where everything's going well and you're thriving. So, just pick a couple of the, a thing or two and focus on those things over this next week. And I will see you same time, same place next week. Thank you everybody for hanging out. And I will see you next time. And really quick business credit.
Super chat.
Thank you for the super chat. I hope that you are doing fantastic. By the way, reviewed your channel in the members only group. That video is published. It's got to be published on Monday. So keep an eye out for that as well. So thank you everybody for hanging out. And I will see you next weekend, next Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Have a great weekend.